tripping, man. These liberals, they tripping in Minnesota, that bullshit going on. But check it out with Jesse right quick.
And if you doubt me, prove me wrong. You can prove me wrong. Look at how human beings treat each other in the same way animals treat each other. They treat each other the same way animals treat each other. God said for us to love one another. Human beings love one another. You don't love them, one another, and you don't even love yourself. In the same way, animals do not love one another. And you train an animal to be a certain way, and animals train animals.
Morning.
Human has fallen into an animal nature, and you have no love. You don't care about anyone but yourself, but you can overcome it. It's up to you. You can realize I'm sick of acting and being like an animal. In the same way you don't love your children, you don't love animals, and animals don't love you. All right? So you can overcome that. It's possible. You don't have to be you anymore. You don't have to be you anymore. And if you want to be happy, a lot of people are looking for happiness. I want to be happy. And so you're looking on the outside for happiness. If you want to really be happy, and this I promise you, if you want to be happy, stop being you. Stop being you, and you will be happy. You become happy. But as long as you're you, you're never going to be happy. Amazing, huh? So I have a brand new biblical question. A brand new. This year started out with a bang. A brand new biblical question. A brand new biblical question. What is the greatest display of power? What is the greatest display of power?
Morning.
What is the greatest display of power? For those men and women, these biblical questions
Happy Monday.
Encourage you
like and subscribe.
Remember to stay present. Because it's difficult, especially when you first start out, or even when you start out and you get caught up in a thought and the feelings are there, and you forget to come back to presence. What is the greatest display of power? One other quick thing I want you to know. Christ said, and I repeat, he who endure to the end shall be saved. You will enter into the kingdom of heaven. But you got to endure. You got to endure overcoming your fake friends, your so-called love for them and their so-called love for you, which they don't love you and you don't love them. You got to be willing to overcome your so-called fake friends and family members and all this stuff where you're holding on to for dear life, and you're calling it love, and it's miserable because you're working overtime trying to make something happen that's not real. Anytime you try to make something happen, you're trying to create your own illusion.
Beta.
Life happens naturally and by itself, especially without your help. You got to be willing to let it all go, including your fake friends inside of your imagination, your head, your thoughts, your feelings, your fake fears. And you call your fears your friend. And you think that those fears inside your imagination is a warning sign. So instead of facing that fear,
what's your thoughts on that?
Just going through it, no matter how rough, and just take it.
She shouldn't have been there.
Take it, and then die from it. You hold on to the fear. There are people who are afraid to face their own mothers. And they say, well, she's my mother. She is my mother. How can I tell her I resent her? Oh, I don't want to hurt her feeling. Or she may not understand. Or she's too old. You're afraid. Not only to face the fear that you get from others, but to face the fear in yourself. How will you endure to the end if you're unwilling to lose it all?
Hello, Peggy. I'm the director of the house, and I'm here to tell you about the future. Minnesota Childcare. Welcome to the Quality Leary Center.
So like 6 years ago, I was just like a bartender who graduated with like honors from the Quality Leering Center. And like now, I'm a congresswoman who can like totally count all the way to 11.
At Quality Leary Center, your unborn kids get a share the same shirt. Here in Minnesota, our motto is, why wait until your kids are born? Sign them up for an education today.
Hey, read on. Oh no! We got you cornered, tampon Timmy. You got nowhere to run.
Oh no!
Want to tell us about the millions you funneled through those Minnesota daycare scams?
But I dropped out, guys. It's all over.
It ain't over till I say it's over. Yeah, Tim, we're just getting started, bro. Fake kids, the phantom staff payouts. It all leads right to your front door.
Guys, I quit. I mean, you don't have to investigate me anymore.
It's not that simple, Tim. Yeah, this wasn't just mismanagement. It was a betrayal to Minnesota. How much deeper does your involvement run? Thanks for calling the White House. How can I help you?
Yeah, I need to speak with President Trump.
Who is it? Defrauded governor on line 1, boss. This is Trump. Who's this?
Hello, Mr. President. It's Tim Walz.
Tampon Tim. What do you want, you retard?
Well, I heard you were going to arrest me. Is that true?
We're not going to arrest you.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, arresting you would be a big waste of time, Timmy boy.
A big waste of time because I'm above the law, right?
Exactly. That's why we're just going to humiliate you.
You're going to humiliate me?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how are you going to do that?
You want to tell him, Cash? First, we're going to take away your mansions.
What?
Then we're going to drain your bank account.
No, not my bank account.
Last but not least, I'm going to make sure you never run for office again.
What?
I'm not going to let you turn Minnesota into Scamolia.
Please give me another chance.
You want another chance?
Yeah, please.
Hey, you guys see the news?
No, what?
Oh, man. Trump's FBI is searching forensic accountants into Minnesota.
There's going to be data teams everywhere.
I'm not
What's up, Patrick?
Trump's just having another tantrum. He's so mad he can't touch us.
Exactly. And I took care of that fraud years ago. The second I noticed anything fraudulent with those daycares, boom! I shut them down. My team handled it. Fraud? What fraud? I cleaned it up before that plagiarist wannabe YouTube journalist Nick Shirley even showed up.
Yeah, now Pogo went to those daycares before they even opened. They think he's Sherlock Holmes. And CNN covered that story last year. And a half a dozen other networks covered it too. Trump is just recycling lies to make us all look bad. Too bad, Trump.
And now they're saying the FBI is linking elected officials to terrorists. That criminal Trump must be really upset. And he says he has direct links to it. Trump and his FBI goons buried those investigations.
In the shadows of the North Star State, chilling tale unfolds. Minnesota. Once a beacon of Midwestern promise, now gripped by an insidious web of deception.
Billions vanishing into the night. Stolen from the very programs meant to feed hungry children and aid the vulnerable. The Feeding Our Future scandal. Nearly 250 million siphoned through fake invoices and phantom daycares. Empty buildings claiming millions in tax payments.
That's crazy what's going on in Minnesota, man. What y'all think? Minnesota's been corrupt for years, 30 years or more. It's amazing. And these white Karens out here, watch out for them. Renee Good should have been at home with her kids. Should not been out there blocking nobody, period. Everybody said they saw the video, but they didn't see it all the way through because obviously she hit an agent. She turned her wheel right, hit the agent in the front, not the one on the left. That's crazy.
$800. Wow. No child crosses their thresholds. And it doesn't stop there. Autism services, housing aid, Medicaid, up to $9 billion gone. Luxury cars, overseas accounts, perhaps even darker forces. At the helms stands Governor Tim Walz, whose administration oversaw this explosion of fraud since 2019. Lax oversight, ignored warnings, federal loopholes exploited under his watch. Vows crackdowns now, but the damage is done. Mistakes he admits, yet the rot spread unchecked. In the heart of it all, Representative Hill.
Yeah, Mike Lindell, definitely.
Voice of Minnesota's 5th District, home to the nation's largest small community. All right, everybody, I'm going to need you to stay calm. Cash Patel is asking questions, but don't worry. He's not going to do anything.
Cash is don't talk.
I've been in politics for 38 years.
What up, Mark? God bless you.
Questions always lead to honest.
And honest always lead to prison.
Well, what are we going to do? We can hire Justice Smollett.
It was a cold Minnesota morning. I was taking my fake children to their daycare facility, a licensed community-approved grant-supported daycare. And that's when I was attacked by Nick Shirley. He put documents on the ground.
Oh, no, not Jesse Smollett.
Timelines and enrollment records. Things no human should have to see in public. And the worst of it all, he left the evidence there for everyone.
Well, AI sucks based on who using it.
Then he looked me in the eye and said,
This is funny.
"Get out of here. This is fraud country."
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out. Yeah, why don't you go sit the next couple of plays out, Kamala? At Quality Lyric Center, this is what success looks like. I've created advanced efficiency, and I'm making Minnesota great. One imaginary child at a time. No snacks, no tantrums, no problem.
Quality Lyric Center is helping our community thrive by keeping things discreet. Your tax dollars are going to important causes, quiet buildings, unanswered phones, and dreams of what could be. We're building a brighter future for Somalia.
Here at Quality Lyric Center, your imaginary kids won't have to worry about things like washing their heads. Because we ain't got no kids up in here. I totally love Somalia. I just wish I was from Somalia. I want to turn Minneapolis
It is funny.
into Somalia. We have a perfect safety record. No fights, no lights, no lawsuits. Hell, we don't even have crime.
We got robbed last night. They took everything, but they didn't take the children.
Those nosy parents start asking questions. It's mostly because they're racist.
I pledge allegiance to the Somalian flag from the United States of Minnesota and to our Somalian president, wherever you stand, or daycares, under fraud, clearly visible, with bribery and corruption for all.
Miss AOC, can you tell the court what you saw?
So I almost totally died. It was horrible.
And then what happened?
So, like, JD Vance was, like, totally trying to hit on me. And then all of a sudden... Hey, you! Get the hell out of that car right now, you stupid bitch!
Good afternoon, officer, and thank you for your service.
Move it, or I'll move you myself!
Oh, I'm so terribly sorry if I've caused any inconvenience. I'm just on my way to deliver warm blankets and fresh baked cookies to some dear souls who are less fortunate. I'm just trying to spread a little joy and help ease world hunger one meal at a time. Would you like a cookie? They're oatmeal raisin, my children's favorite.
Fuck you! Get out of the car!
Oh dear, I do apologize from the bottom of my heart. I never meant to bother anyone, you see. I simply had to stop earlier because a sweet little family of squirrels was crossing the road, and I couldn't bear the thought of them getting hurt. Then I stayed to make sure the baby birds in the tree were safe from the cold. My little ones at home are waiting for me. My precious children are my whole world. You know, I just...
That's what's up, man. Congratulations, man.
Rainbows and butterflies fluttering about in peace.
Shut your fucking mouth! I give a fuck about your cookies! You're blocking the goddamn street!
Right, when Freddie Curry got shot, they had a Halloween costume for him.
I just want to say thank you for your service. You're a hero!
They marked Trump when Trump got shot at.
I wish you were my dad.
Fuck you! Please, sir, there's no need for harsh words. I'm a mother first and foremost. My kids are my life. I spend my days singing lullabies and reading bedtime stories and teaching my darlings to be kind to every living creature. All I want is a world full of love and understanding. No anger, no violence, just gentle breezes and happy families everywhere.
What the fuck is this bullshit? You're a crazy fucking bitch. I'm done with your hippie crap. Open this door.
Y'all did the same thing about Charlie Kirk, man. Stop it.
Dear, I do apologize from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, well, guess what, princess? Time's up. I'm gonna hack into this piece of shit car of yours right now and make it ram straight into me, and I'll call it self-defense. Trouble, pardon me.
That sounds quite alarming, officer. But even so, I forgive you. We all have bad days. Please, take care of yourself. And if you ever need a hug or a warm cup of tea, my door is always open. For the children and for peace.
Fuck your hugs. Fuck your peace. Here it comes. Sanctimonious. What really happened? Get out of the car, please. Please, get out of the car. Please don't run over me. Please don't run over me. Woke up crying at about noon. Just remembered I gotta protest ICE real soon. I got to yell and walk before deportation began, before ICE started stealing all my friends. About to go, and I started to cry. My kids had to go to school, so I gave them a ride. Ran to the car and grabbed my tissue. I gotta do something about this ICE agent issue. Change my pronouns and grab my whistle. These racist ICE agents did a quick dismissal. Jumped in the pilot, heard Trump, and I cried. I got real triggered and proceeded to cry. Then I heard AOC say, if you instruct the agents, the immigrants can stay. I saw golden caskets on my new wish list, and my kids watch me on the news and win something like this. Cruising down the street in my Honda, screaming at agents, bring the drama. Went to the scene to block the road. My crew protested, because that's liberal code. A car pulls up trying to George Floyd me. A racist ICE agent asked me to leave. He rolls down his window and he started to say, get the fuck out of the car, don't make me spray. That's the list of Democrats are brainwashed retards. I tried to block the road and I shot my car. I know nothing in life, but I found out real quick. Oh shit, I brought my dog and my kids will be pissed.
You see from the recordings that we see, is there anything that you believe was being done that should not have been done? by Macklin Good. The administration says she was blocking the road. They are claiming this is an act of terrorism.
Yeah, Renee Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car, peacefully waving cars to get by.
You sure about that? As I mentioned, CNN has obtained some new video. Again, it's grainy and distant, but it shows 4 full minutes leading up to the shooting. It shows Renee Good's maroon Honda Pilot entering from the right there. Then 20 seconds later, someone gets out of the passenger side. We don't know who or why this person leaves the car. We then see
It's the wife.
turn and pull perpendicular across the street, seeming to block the way. As the vehicle passes, you can see the dark-colored SUV driven by Renee Good. That's on the right there in the back. Surveillance
With a red.
by a home nearby. Agents can be seen milling about near the vehicle, then converging on it. And then you see right there the SUV begins to move, and that's when the shots are fired.
Boom. Like when she hit him.
Now, prior to this, the video shows the SUV had been stationary and sideways across the road like that for about 3 minutes. The reason for that is unclear.
What's up, Mike? Thanks for coming by.
This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door. She feels scared. She tries to turn the wheel away, and then you see the other officer, who can clearly see the car is moving, move towards the front of the car, which, if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained,
It's this right here from there.
You shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car. And so it is not acceptable for Kristi Noem and the president and the vice president to make these kind of judgments.
It makes no sense to be.
Being a full
She shouldn't be blocking no agents. She should be at home with her kids.
In the videos that have been produced.
And then her wife told her, baby drive, baby drive. Come on, man.
What is taking place.
They've been on bullshit since day one. Really, Jack? Look at the video. I'm showing you the video right now. Watch the video.
It's okay, we don't change our face every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car.
Listen. She said, baby drive, baby. See, that's that bullshit.
Then let the investigation take place before you characterize this mother of 3 as a domestic terrorist.
She doesn't live in Minnesota, so she didn't drop him out of school. They went in no school. You don't want to defend dudes, not being evil. Her ass shouldn't have been there. She was the ringleader of doxing the ICE agents. They told her to get out the car.
And Minneapolis is following the ICE-involved shooting. The victim there, we're learning more about, known as a far-left activist with some ties to some interesting people and groups. Portland, Oregon, 2 shootings overnight. I should say 2 people shot overnight.
I'm struck, okay? Especially if you put an ICE officer's life in danger.
He shot her because she was queer.
He didn't know she was gay or not.
He shot her because she was queer. You can see so clearly. I didn't think that it was like that before, but when you see the footage, he shot her because she was queer. And you voted for this.
Like and subscribe. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Wait. So we got to talk about what I believe to be one of the best videos I've seen on the internet.
Like and subscribe.
long time, okay? Because this liberal white woman is going to realize that there are, in fact, consequences for obstructing ICE, okay? She realized before the situation escalated that what she was trying to do could cost her her life, okay? And she is going to break down in tears because she's going to realize that, hey, I'm not allowed to get away with obstruction. I'm not allowed to get away with domestic terrorism without consequences, that I could be shot and killed by an ICE agent for trying to obstruct, okay? Especially if you put an ICE officer's life in danger, then, there's a chance that you could, in fact, be shot and killed, right? That you could win a Darn Award, and that makes her feel powerless. And I think videos like this is an excellent example of what I'm talking about when I say what this is about. This is about power, right? These people are upset about what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because the officer not being charged or getting away with it basically takes away their power. It shows them that, we can't just obstruct and not face any consequences for our actions, that we could lose our life for interfering with federal officers and their operations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Today I learned a valuable lesson. If you're going to go patrol ICE in your vehicle, it's probably best that you have a co-pilot, and your dog isn't a good co-pilot. Kiba and I went out driving around, and we came across a convoy of 3 to 4 ICE vehicles.
Yeah, so this is what they're doing, right? This is the same thing that woman was doing out in Minneapolis before she was shot and killed. They run around patrolling, looking for ICE. And when they find ICE, they become agents of chaos. They try to obstruct. They try to disrupt ICE and what they're doing, okay? And that is why what they're engaged in is domestic terrorism. Let's not mince words. Let's not try to be nice about it, right? Let's not soften it up. This is domestic terrorism. This is what they're doing.
Stopped in front of a fucking daycare because, they're here investigating fraud, right? Then why does it fucking matter if I stop my vehicle in the middle of the street and I honk my horn? Maybe I'm having a fucking mental health episode, you know?
Is that the new excuse now, right? Is that the excuse for blocking ICE, right? Stopping your vehicle in the middle of the road? I'm having a mental health episode, right? These people need to go lay on somebody's couch. Seriously.
But what did they do? They first of all, one of the agents looked at me and he goes, that was before I even started honking. I literally just pulled up on him and was fucking staring. When other people started honking, I started honking. I sat there and I laid on the horn. And
so that's a tactic, right? Allegedly, that's what the woman in Minneapolis was doing. Okay, Renee Good, she was honking. They were honking in order to annoy ICE, to distract ICE, to disrupt ICE. That's what they do. So they pull up in the middle of the road, they stop, and then they honk, right? They honk really loudly and cause mass disruption while ICE is trying to conduct their operations. This is one of their tactics.
Then there was a very loud banging at the back of my car, and before I knew it, there was a person on my driver's side window with their fucking gun, their big fucking gun, telling me to get the fuck out of here. And I did. And
You're damn right you did.
I think I'm more angry and frustrated by this than I am scared. I'm pissed
Yep, definitely paid protesters.
that I have to back down.
Because how you gonna leave your house
And that you will
and give your kid a daycare and start driving around?
That stands in your fucking fascist way. But at the same time, I'm at a point in my life.
Right, I heard that she was burning her kids with the cigarettes. Kids had cigarette burns on them, I believe.
I like being here.
Being an agent of chaos, right? But you like being alive. You like being alive. Let's be real. You like being alive. In your brain, your tiny brain, right? You have an evolutionary desire to stay alive. We all do, right? We're not suicidal, right? For the most part, most normal people, you're not looking to lose your life. This woman realized when that officer pulled up with his weapon that I can lose my life. That, oh snap, there are consequences to this.
Yeah, take away for abuse, right?
Right? That I'm about to find out. I'm about to win a Darn Award.
Yep, she did with the cigarettes. I think it was supposed to be the wife, the other wife, the Butch.
Something bad could happen to me. It's called consequences. And when faced with the reality of consequences, you see how these liberals react. They break down in tears. Why? Because she feels powerless, right? In all seriousness, I told you guys this from the get-go, what this was about, because it's very easy to psychoanalyze these people.
Ice, baby.
Their psychology. She is upset because she knows in that moment she had no power. It was choose between living, running away, aka not doing anything about what ICE is doing, aka giving up power, or dying and still accomplishing not a damn thing, right? There was no option for her to stop ICE and to live, okay? Or put it this way, there was no option for her to stop ICE and to not put her life at significant risk, right? She knew that. And that's why she's upset. Because she
Who doesn't care that I'm black?
She did not have power. All of this is about power. This is why
everybody keep bringing back the F-15 shots. Y'all funny.
All of these liberals, they're pretending as if they didn't see the ICE officer get hit by that vehicle when he shot that woman. They're only showing one angle. They are trying to distort reality, trying to distort facts. They're not making legal arguments, because as soon as they admit that that officer was legally justified, that takes away power from the movement, right? It's a threat to the agenda to admit the truth about what happened, to admit that officer was 100% legally justified. So they will never admit the truth, no matter how much proof and evidence you give them, no matter how much footage you show them of the ICE officer being hit, that he had a
Hey, 6 cents. I'm gonna share information. I'm not trying to feed off of him.
I think everybody should agree.
Besides, everybody in the chat coming in and communicating. That's cool. That's fun.
Deadly weapon, right?
What's your opinion?
There's no question.
What's your opinion, 6 cents? What you think?
Justified his actions. But liberals are distorting reality because admitting the truth makes them powerless. But lying and trying to make this a debate, even though it's not a debate, that's how they still maintain power, some semblance of power. Oh, this was wrong. The ICE officer can't do this. He should be arrested. He should be thrown to jail. Let's riot until we get what we want, right? That's what it is right now. They are trying to maintain power. That's it. That's it. And I think this video right here is exactly what I'm talking about.
And I don't want to not be here. And it's frustrating to have always been somebody who is involved in protests and involved in speaking out, and has always felt like, for the most part, I've been able to have my right to protest, my right to be angry.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the right to obstruct. The right to protest means off in a distance, you can scream and yell and, protest as much as you want, right? Peacefully. As long as you're not obstructing, okay, then you can peacefully protest. But these people think peaceful protest means obstruction. Peaceful protest and obstruction are not the same thing. That's what these people don't understand.
And that's not a thing anymore. And I'm really fucking angry about it. And I'm feeling fucking hopeless. But I know I can do other things. I know I can go buy groceries for people who are too afraid to go to the grocery store. I can fucking walk their dogs. I can volunteer my time and my energy in other places. And also, I'm not fucking afraid to come back and sit in my fucking car and honk my horn. You scared the shit out of me today. But I'm not gonna fucking back down. We're not going to back down.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. You can't make this stuff up, man. We have some mental problems in this country, right? We need to bring back the asylums because these people need to be institutionalized. I'm very serious about that, right? I'm very serious. Why can't this woman just live her life? Just live your life. Go to work. Live your life. You know, enjoy time with your family. Do things that, you know, you like to do for fun, whatever. But these people really do think that they are heroes in some story, right? In some movie. They think they're the good guys. And it's like,
Right.
No, you're not the good guys. And that's what's wrong with these people. They've been told for way too long that they're good and everybody else is evil. And because they feel like they're heroes, they're out here becoming vigilantes. And some of them are finding out, right, the hard way. And then some of them are realizing before finding out that, hey, I don't want to find out, right? I don't want to find out that all of a sudden there are consequences to my actions, right? That this is not a game. That's what happened to this woman. And it broke her, right? It broke her. So, this is why, again, consequences are important, right? It's important to highlight that you will not be able to get away with this stuff and think that, hey, that there's nothing that's going to happen and that, you can just freely break the law. You can freely be an agent of chaos. You can freely be violent. You can freely do whatever you want without any type of accountability. That's not the world we live in. Unfortunately, I don't understand why is that liberals have to learn this the hard way. But hey, good on this woman for understanding in the moment that, hey, I want to be here, right? I don't want to not be here. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Trump administration just announced that the USDA will be freezing all funds to Minnesota. The USDA is what is used to pay for things like SNAP, WIC, our national school lunch program. We use the federal funds.
Right, Mark. So when you burning her kids, no cigarettes, no more.
2 children here in Minnesota. The USDA provides grants for our farmers here in Minnesota. It supports local and small businesses. They are cutting a lifeline to Minnesota. And they've already cut the funds for childcare to Minnesota. This comes just days after Minnesota House GOP representatives went to Congress and testified that there is massive fraud in Minnesota and it's all Walz's fault. They are cutting off funds to the most vulnerable people in Minnesota. Our children will go hungry. Our families will not be able to afford roofs over their head because they can't have childcare. Our farmers will lose their farms.
So the Trump administration froze federal food assistance money to Minnesota. SNAP, food stamps, programs that literally feed people, children. And before anyone jumps in screaming, fraud, here's the part they don't want you to hear. This wasn't a court ruling. This wasn't proven wrongdoing. This was an executive freeze justified by allegations, not verdicts.
Boy. So, we got to talk about more major moves from the Trump administration that is pissing Democrats off. Liberals are losing their minds right now because the Department of Agriculture has moved to cut food stamp funding from Minnesota, okay, due to the Somali fraud scandal. There's good reason to believe that all of the federal programs, the federal tax dollars, our tax dollars going to Minnesota, a state run by Democrats and Tim Walz, that those funds are being used fraudulently, right? A significant portion of those funds are being used fraudulently. That is, there's good reason to believe that, and because of that, the administration is pausing funding while they investigate, okay? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been on top of this, right? He's saying that the IRS is getting involved in investigating major financial institutions and Tim Walz himself for the fraud that he allowed to get out of control. Because in my opinion, I think the Democrats supported the fraud, they were complicit in the fraud, and they benefited from the fraud, okay? And yes, they should be investigated, like all 50 states really should be investigated.
It makes me think back to the beginning of the administration. You had some very high-profile disagreements with Elon Musk, who was running Doge. Is the basic thesis of Doge been, more necessary than ever? And do you think there's a way to amplify that work moving forward?
Yeah, and Chris, to be clear, I was in 100% alignment with Elon on the waste, fraud, and abuse. It was just, the Silicon Valley motto is move fast and break things. I said my personal motto and the Treasury motto is move deliberately and fix things. And that's what you're going to see in our investigations. You're not going to see headlines tomorrow. You're not going to see them next week. But in a month, quarter, that once we get people in the bear trap, they're not getting out because we will have conclusive evidence to present. And I think that they will have to make plea deals, that they will be willing to negotiate, to turn in higher ups, to help us map out how this happened. And again, we're going to take this Minnesota map to other 49 states.
But one curious detail, this interview was originally scheduled for the Minnesota State Capitol. Can you explain why that didn't come to pass and why we're here?
For one reason, Chris, Tim Walz is a coward. He would not guarantee that the Treasury Secretary of the United States of America would have police protection in the Minnesota State Capitol. He's afraid of what is coming. And he's not going to be able to.
Thank you guys for joining in. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Happy Monday.
And I don't have to go in the Capitol building to investigate him. I would love for him to come to Treasury and answer some questions. I can guarantee you that he will be safe and sound then, depending on what we discover. I don't know about his future. And as I said earlier, that will be the only view of the Oval Office he ever gets. Because let's just think about the long arc of history. The suppression of this story is this guy got to within could have been one heartbeat away from being president of the United States. And when we don't have a functioning mainstream media and great independent journalists like you, citizen journalists who go out and do the investigative work because the people who are supposed to be doing it don't do it anymore.
Yeah, so you see, they hear that. Okay, they're making moves to go after Tim Walz, to go after the state of Minnesota. Hopefully, we see Tim Walz in handcuffs. Right? I think the odds of him actually being charged are going up every single day. Right? Again, I think this is the reason why he decided that he was going to not run for re-election, because he's certainly guilty. Right? He certainly allowed this to happen, and he can't explain his way out of it. Right? And I think that's why he's basically calling it a career. Right?
Right, Joseph.
He's trying to get out in the spotlight because he knows that the longer that this issue stays in the public eye, the worse it makes Democrats look, right? This is why they're trying to distract us with these riots and these protests over the woke woman who won a Darn Award because she decided that she wanted to obstruct a police officer. So with that being said, the Trump administration, again, is moving to freeze more funds. Okay, they already moved to freeze the child care funds that Minnesota receives, and now
Anunnaki, same thing. I don't think that's true about her bringing her kids. I thought it was too, but as I'm saying, I don't see too much of it being true.
Minnesota. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Good morning, Molly. The Trump administration says they want accountability in Minnesota, so they've taken a series of actions that they say will continue until there's proof that the alleged fraud has stopped. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins is suspending nearly $129 million in USDA awards to the state of Minnesota and city of Minneapolis. She's highlighting the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, which she says involved USDA funding. Rollins is now giving state and local leaders 30 days to hand her agency justification for the federal dollars the state spent from January 20th of last year to now. The Treasury Department is acting too. Secretary Scott Bessent says the agency is auditing financial institutions that help process funds in Minnesota, and it's also investigating 4 money services businesses in the state.
Our team at FinCEN has just provided formal notification to these businesses that they are under investigation.
But the administration is hitting a legal roadblock. Earlier this week, it froze $10 billion in federal aid for social services in 5 Democrat-led states, including Minnesota, California, and New York, over the concerns about fraud. A federal judge has blocked the move for now after state officials argued it could put vulnerable Americans in jeopardy.
Like blue states, I guess that's a personal preference for him. But what he can't do is use the law to punish people just because he doesn't like them.
Well, it's not because he doesn't like you. It's because you're using the funds fraudulently, right? I really don't understand how is it that we have a system where the federal government can't even ask these states, hey, who are you giving the money to, right? The federal government gives the mony to the states. They say you only can use the money for these things. But the
King of the libtards, Tampon
audit the states, right? Like it's funny how that works. Okay, that's literally how our welfare system is set up. I've talked about this before. The states are literally suing the Trump administration so that they don't have to give the federal government a copy of who is receiving food stamps, right? Federal tax dollars. The states are saying, no, we shouldn't have to show the federal government what we're doing with the money. So how in the world is the federal government supposed to hold the states accountable for the use of federal funds if they can't see who's actually receiving the funds, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But that's the world we live in. Our welfare system is broken, right? It's broken. It is structurally broken. These states, it's hard to hold them accountable. You have to jump through hoops. You have woke judges left and right, always trying to stop the administration from doing accountability and oversight. It is making me sick. It makes me sick. This is why I think this administration needs to stop warning these Democrats and just go ahead and freeze the funds, because there's a woke judge that's going to block it anyways. Just go ahead and get it started. Let's go ahead and get the legal battle going, right? We just need to pause all welfare, right? Let's pause all welfare and let's go ahead and get the legal battle going, right? Maybe that's what we need to do. Keep it all the way 100. Let's pause all of the government cheese going to these states, these blue states specifically, and let's go ahead and fight it out in court. Because that's what they're going to do anyways if you wait. But the only way to fix the fraud is to freeze the funds. To freeze the funds and investigate. You don't want to keep giving out funds that are being used fraudulently. We're talking about $9+ billion in fraud out of Minnesota. And the federal government has to jump through hoops in order to hold Democrats accountable, to do oversight, something that Democrats failed to do, okay? So that's what really frustrates me about this situation. A judge will probably end up intervening in this too. Democrats will go and sue. They'll find some woke judge, and the woke judge will say, oh, you can't pause food stamps, right? That's what they're going to say, right? That's what's going to happen.
The block is valid for 14 days to give both sides time to hand in more extensive legal arguments. Molly.
Madeline Rivera, thank you very much. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is calling this all an assault on his state.
We're exhausted as Americans, and this relentless assault on Minnesota, for whatever reason, is just cruel now. It has reached cruelness. So please, just give us a break. And if it's me, you're already getting what you want. But leave my people alone. Leave our state alone.
This dude is begging for mercy, right? He's begging for mercy at this point, right? Begging for mercy. Leave us alone, please. I gotta feed these kids. I gotta understand, right? When these Democrats run around bragging about, oh, we're such good people. We feed the children. We give them out free lunches so they never go hungry, right? This is what progressives brag about when it comes to Tim Walz. I hear it all the time, right? On Kyle Kuklinski's show. All the time. Oh, Tim Walz is so great, right? He feeds the children. Well, where's that money coming from? It ain't free, right? It ain't free. No lunch is free. Free school lunches aren't free. Somebody's paying for it. Guess who's paying for it? Federal tax dollars are paying for it. His state ain't paying for it. He's using federal tax dollars to give out free school lunches, and he's trying to take a victory lap like he paid for it. Taxpayers pay for that. It's not free. There's nothing free in this world, and that's what these progressives need to understand. So, with that being said, Ilhan Omar was confronted on the mainstream liberal media about the administration freezing food stamps, and she's panicking just like the rest of the Democrats. Take a look.
Well, the administration also announced they're going to cut food stamps to Minnesota because they say some of the food stamp money had been embezzled.
And those are the things that are being litigated, and it is, again, unconstitutional for them to do so.
Are you confident that the fraud that has been discovered is no longer being conducted now? Is there any justification for saying this food stamp money is somehow being misused?
Yeah, there are ways to investigate fraud, which we have been doing in Minnesota, which the federal government has been doing under the Biden administration. There is no reason for them to use this level of rhetoric. There is no reason for them to fully stop the funding these programs. The only reason they are doing that is for PR purposes, and it is harming our state. It is harming my constituents, and it is creating the kind of chaos and confusion that no one needs in this moment.
Because the administration and many conservative allies in the administration argue that this is still ongoing. There was that conservative influencer who went out and posted this video that went viral alleging that daycare facilities were pocketing public funds.
Yeah, and as you know, he went hours where these businesses were not operating.
Yeah, CBS went out and
which
did its own
again creates the level of confusion and chaos that is not necessary in a moment when we are trying to deal with a serious problem that needs serious people to be able to address it.
But do you think there was no recorded evidence of fraud according to the CBS investigation that was conducted? But Governor Walz did choose to not run for re-election. He dropped out of the race because of all of this.
Because he wants to focus on defending our state and not defending a seat.
Do you think there has been a sufficient level of accountability and ownership of the failure to have oversight here? Do you think this ends?
That is what we want. We want to collaboratively work with the administration to try to make sure that there is no fraud that's being perpetuated on our state. What we do not want is the level of terror, of confusion, of chaos that is being created without any results in this moment.
Yeah, what they don't want is accountability, right? That's what she's actually saying. What she does not want is accountability. She doesn't want there to be consequences for allowing the fraud. They want the federal government to allow the Democrats to investigate themselves. Well, we investigated ourselves and we found nothing, right? We found nothing. Do you guys really think that Ilhan Omar wants to collaborate with the federal government, the Trump administration, to investigate fraud in the Somali community? Of course not, right? She doesn't want that at all, okay? Because if she wanted that, then she would be complaining right now, right? What would she be complaining about? This woman was taking pictures with Somali fraudsters. She has received campaign donations from these people. She's received political support and financial support from these people. She is a beneficiary of the fraud, right? She's a beneficiary. So of course, she's not going to be happy about accountability. She's not going to be happy about the federal government investigating. And that's what she's really mad about right now. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I agree with the Trump administration is doing. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, the only way to clean up the fraud is to cut off the funding, right? I mean, again, the system is structurally broken. It needs to be dismantled, right? It needs to be torn down and dismantled from the bottom up, okay? Elon Musk was right. Doge was right, okay? There's too much fraud in the system. The system is built on fraud, and you got to tear it down in order to fix it, okay? That's what you got to do. Now, will that happen? Probably not, right? Because too many people depend on the system, right? That's the unfortunate reality of democracy. And there's something I've learned about politics. You know, it really is kind of a black pill. And I'm not a black pill type of guy, but when it comes to welfare, I have basically taken a black pill in the sense that in order to actually do anything about it, you got to lose elections, right? In order to do the right thing in this country, you got to lose elections because so many people are dependent on the system that trying to clean it up is going to cause so many people to lose money that they're dependent on, then they'll vote against you. Right, and that's the problem. That's why you shouldn't allow a welfare state to get so big in the first place. This is why you should never, ever, ever allow a welfare state to get as robust as we've allowed our welfare state because of that reason. This is why Democrats have nothing to offer to the American people outside of welfare, because they know that the more people on welfare, the more people that are dependent on the government, the more likely they are to depend on Democrats. Right? Dependence on the government means dependence on Democrats. This is why they're hooked on getting people dependent on the government, because that helps Democrats maintain power and control, right? It's very easy to be a Democrat. Very easy. Just say, yeah, the government is here to help you. That's it, right? Nothing's your fault. The government is here to help you, and the government is going to take your money and redistribute it to people who need it, and then it'll be used for fraudulent uses, and if you question it, you're a racist, right? That's how it works. That's how it works. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Developing this morning, the Department of Homeland Security linking multiple Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota to an illegal Somali national arrested as part of the immigration crackdown there. Abdul Dahi.
Collapse. We have been going scorched earth against Gavin Newsom, setting the table for what is to come. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Speaking of going scorched earth, Pendragon Cycle from Daily Wire is a fantasy series, might include some scorched earth as well. An incredible story, The Rise of Merlin, the latest in an original series by the Daily Wire, a 7-part cinematic epic based on the novels by Stephen R. Lawhead. This is a fresh telling of the story, but not a woke telling of the Arthurian legend. At its center is Merlin emerging as the bridge between the old world of darkness and the new world of light. Something that is constantly happening, by the way, as the world remains itself. Anyway, you can see the trailer on right here. Just absolutely incredible cinematography, breathtaking. Who needs Hollywood anymore? This world comes vividly to life. Pendragon Cycle on Daily Wire Plus. Starting January 22nd, 2026, exclusively. You can watch the trailer now at pendragonseries.com. It's up on the screen. Again, looks as good as anything out of Hollywood. Hollywood is in major trouble. Did we mention that we'll be there this week? Okay. Top Minnesota GOP rep says Tim Walz will be leaving in handcuffs. Here's some of the breaking news off of the top line today. We know, again, little birdies tell us, just checking in here to see some of the commentary. They are polishing up and getting ready to launch the single most devastating investigation that will make the Quality Leering Center look like child's play in Minnesota. Nick Shirley as the goods. And now local reporting is showing that Nick Shirley is going to force the resignation of Tim Walz. Now, Tim Walz can't admit this. He has to effusively scream and rant and rage and, behave like a complete tampon over this report. But there's only so much one man can do when the full weight and force of the federal government is collapsing upon him. So let's go ahead and listen to Tim Walz. Just backstopping all this, major local reporting, major independent reporting saying that Tim Walz will not be able to survive his full term. We do have inside knowledge on this. We can report this. What is about to happen to Tim Walz today is going to be a career ender. Minnesota is a state of total and complete collapse. Some of our friends were attacked yesterday. Alex, if you got that, let me know if there's blocking the script. Otherwise, just grab me some of that. Nick Sotor and Cam Higby were attacked in the streets yesterday. Minnesota is teetering. Tim Walz asked, are you going to serve out your term? Are you going to resign? You already dropped out of the gubernatorial race. That was a huge humiliation. Are you even going to be able to survive the next couple of months of your term? Here we go.
Their idea of improving the state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my day. Fine. I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House, when does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from it.
Yeah, okay, open-minded body. There's this great clip, ALX. It's from the same press conference that Tim Walz announced that he was resigning. He was on January 6th. And I find this absolutely fascinating, the cognitive disconnect here. You know, this is called cognitive dissonance. It is a psychological phenomenon where you can hold two competing ideas in your mind at the same time, and you can believe both things which are antithetical and a proxy to each other are true. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Thank you, ALX. This is Tim Walz's first time answering to the cameras why he's dropping out of the race. And he's so panicked by it that he starts screaming about January 6th. It was January 6th, okay, that was the date, just a couple days ago. But Tim Walz, when asked, like, there's all this grotesque Somali fraud, you're being investigated by the Department of Justice, Department of Labor, Small Business Association, HHS, the DOJ, the Treasury Secretary was here all week. And I don't know if we have anything for Bessett, but Bessett was on a warpath in Minnesota. It was really something else. He blocked all wires out of the country. If you're getting welfare and then you take that welfare and you send it out of the country, like, how dumb are we how stupid are we as a nation? How weak? What bitches are we if we just allow some immigrant, some parasite to come here and then to accept money from our treasury and to immediately wire it out of the country? What does that say about the state of our welfare system and the massive reforms that it must take? Because it's like a double insult. That money, the very best explanation for this is that somebody's really needy and now they can eat. The next best explanation is, hey, if they don't even need it to eat, at least they'll spend it here in our economy. The worst possible explanation is this is a foreign parasite that is taking that money, sending it abroad to go fund Islamic terror against America, which is exactly what happened with the Somalis. Breaking news from Just the News this morning, the federal government has caught a bunch of Somalis with $700 million worth of cold, hard cash in their suitcases at the Minneapolis airport. I know that was breaking at time of recording here, and I'm asking for a lot of assets and building the show live, but there's just been a lot going on in Minneapolis that would facilitate and necessitate Tim Walz resigning. Okay, so doing the weave here. Doing the weave. Here is Tim Walz saying, no, January 6th, it's really, really bad. January 6th, really bad. Who cares that I am dropping out of the race and it's all this Somali fraud and they're catching, low IQ, mentally handicapped IQ level Somalis with bags of hundreds of millions of dollars at the airport. Pay no attention to the Quality Learning Center, January 6th. It's like an incantation for these people. It's like a shaman. It's like an incantation, like a spell that they cast on you. Listen to this.
This is a decision that I make with my family, and certainly I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it. We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us that are for a show of the cameras. I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th. There's no debate what happened. The President of the United States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said he really didn't, and courts convicted 400 of them, and he pardoned them. No, he did that. He did that, and that's today. And it's clear that we also saw today he implemented 5 states are being punished with a freezing of federal funds illegally that were appropriated by Congress, our tax dollars.
So Tim Walz announcing his humiliating resignation from the gubernatorial race. We hear again that he is going to resign his office because of the weight of the full federal investigation against him from multiple branches of the federal government. Minnesota is effectively a inoperable state right now because the federal government has taken away all of their monies, all of it. Everything from HHS, everything from DOJ, everything from the Department of Labor, that's unemployment benefits. It's all frozen. It's all shut off. Effed around and found out, man. But then he says, listen, I just want to talk about how duplicitous this style, because Gavin Newsom's doing the same thing to us right now. It's wild. With this level of gaslighting, how easy it is to destroy it. Okay, so here's the gate. Tim Walz has been trained, like every Democrat, like a Pavlovian dog. You ring the bell, they start to drool. Whenever you're in trouble, scream January 6th. Okay? Scream January 6th. Okay? Your wife turns on the light and you're cheating, scream January 6th. Whatever it is. Okay? The cops catch you with a couple bloody body bags in the back of your trunk, scream January 6th. It is the get out of jail free card for any lib, for any Democrat. So because Tim Walz knows he's completely effed, he just starts screaming about January 6th. And he starts talking about how Republicans are the ones who attack federal law enforcement and how important it is for Democrats to defend federal law enforcement. Almost like God has the greatest sense of humor, which he does. Fate loves irony. Within hours of Tim Walz saying that, a federal officer is nearly slaughtered by one of Tim Walz's paid activists in Minneapolis. A white lesbian woman who was being egged on, and we have actually new body cam footage of this that we haven't played on the show yet, because it popped on Friday. This white, lesbian, angry, professional activist is being egged on by her partner to drive over and slaughter an ICE agent in Minneapolis. And here's the footage from the guy's body cam. I actually believe it was sort of like a cell phone that he connected to, potentially a cell phone, right, that he's connected to his vest. But you can see here in this critical footage, and we don't have to play the whole thing, you can see him get out. This is the perpetrator. Her name's Renee Good. Is that it? And then this is the critical moment. So the ICE agent comes up, tells her to get out of the car. She's blocking all ICE activity. She's impeding in a federal government activity. That's, of course, illegal. She's blocking all the vehicles. The ICE agent comes around here. I'll play the full clip for you, but I just want to get to one critical moment. This is what I believe is her partner, who tries to get in the vehicle, then eggs on Renee Good to run over the ICE agent. How do we know that? Because you can see here at the very end of the video, and sorry for jumping around here, but I just want to find this freeze frame where she locks eyes with the ICE agent. Again, this is from the perspective of the ICE agent. This is where the cell phone is, right here. This is his chest. And here she is,
looking right at him.
The car directly in front of him, and she floors it. She's locking eyes with him. You can see it. You can see the whites in her eyes. She's staring directly in the man's circle, directly down the barrel. Starts yelling. She's enraged. And then, of course, in the clip, you can hear, unmute, please. You can hear the car actually physically hit the agent. We'll just play this last couple seconds here.
I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead. How's it going? Get out of here.
you could hear and see the collision of the camera. There's the ICE agent's face as the car hits his body so severely that the camera actually jostles and jumps. So there you go. Got to charge, by the way, this individual with attempted murder as well. You got to charge the wife or the partner here as well, because she goes, "Go, baby, go, baby, go," as soon as she sees the ICE agent in front of her vehicle. Sorry, man. Not gonna work out for you. So this is something that you assume. Sorry to belabor this point, but you assume that somebody who's sitting there screaming the January 6th incantation, January 6th, January 6th, they'd say, well, this is patently a attack on federal law enforcement. I just talked about January 6th and how I support federal law enforcement, and so I'm going to clearly come out in favor of federal law enforcement. So is that what's happened here? Again, fate loves irony, hates hypocrisy. Prove that in just a second with Gavin Newsom. Faith loves irony and hates hypocrisy. Is this hypocrisy? If they believed the line of bullshit that they're trying to sell here about January 6th, then they would, of course, be in favor of the ICE agent in that scenario. They would have said, you tried to kill an ICE agent with your car. This is what happens. You effed around, you got shot. That's what happens when you try to murder an ICE agent. I defend law enforcement because I just yelled about January 6th. Obviously, this is something that is congruent with my worldview. But no, they don't do that. They're marching through the streets. They're attacking federal buildings in Minneapolis. They're trying to burn the city down. Unfortunately, you cannot create your George Floyd moment here with a white woman. You're not going to be able to do that because the racial hierarchy, the intersectional racial hierarchy, doesn't allow for it. In fact, you've even had activists talking about how they feel guilty protesting for a white woman. This is how much they have. This is how much self-loathing they have, which is from the devil. Self-loathing is from the devil. Worrying is praying. Thinking you were born in the wrong body is worshiping the devil. That's what it is. Make a mistake when he made you. God made you male and female. Don't believe the lines that are being sold to you from the left because, again, they lead to very bad places. Antithetically, they are just against creation. They're against God's sovereignty in creation and creating you as someone very special with a purpose and meaning in life. And God didn't make a mistake in making you. And whatever you're suffering from, whether that's drugs, alcohol, whatever you're trying to do to try and or should I go get a surgery and change my gender? No. Do I need to go and become an activist and get myself killed? No. There's a greater purpose for you in life. Stop fighting God. They can't reason beyond that. The cognitive dissonance goes like this: January 6th, really bad. But now I'm going to attack federal law enforcement myself and hope that they get killed. Great job. Okay. Cognitive consistency is saying that all attacks on federal law enforcement are bad. The rioters, most of them were Antifa and BLM rioters who were disguised as MAGA. Maybe some of them were feds, the ones who actually fought the cops on January 6th. We've always said, don't fight cops, don't hit cops. We don't care. Don't attack federal law enforcement. We've been the ones who are consistent. When given the opportunity for Democrats to fight or kill federal law enforcement, they cheer it on. So, that's the difference. What about journalists? Remember Jimmy Kimmel? Remember when we helped get Jimmy Kimmel ripped off the air? Put in time out? Very, very so proud of that. One of the few actual consequence culture moments that ever happened in Hollywood. That was not self-inflicted. That was inflicted by us and show power and cultural strength. You remember how they screamed that this was an attack on journalism? Well, that's exactly what they're doing now. They're attacking journalists. Here's some of the footage from our friends. Nick Sotor was on the show just from last Friday. He nearly got killed last night. They were taking frozen water bottles and chucking them at the vehicle they had rented. Got smashed in. Dude should have rented a Cybertruck. Am I right, Alex? Hey, Alex. Am I right, Alex? But those water bottles have done anything against a Cybertruck? No way, bro. Nope. This is what they did to our friends. Show me more clips, yeah. This is Nick Sotor. This is them. They're getting stopped and attacked. This is false. This is false imprisonment. This is Cam Higbee and Nick Sotor. This is false imprisonment. This is illegal. Obstructing and blocking a roadway. Attacks and threatening. You're not allowed to do this. They're blocking them from leaving or moving. And thank God that they peeled out and were able to get away. And as far as I know, nobody was actually hurt. I think, is this the footage of them like actually zipping along? Okay, there you go. Good for you. This is what you should do in this scenario. They seem to be acting very responsibly. They pulled forward and then zoomed away. Get the hell out of there. This would be Nick Sotor driving, I believe. Yep, there you go. They would have killed him. They could have gotten their hands on him. They could have killed him. Every one of them needs to be arrested. Every one of those protesters needs to be arrested. What's this here? Attacked again. During the attack, federal agents deployed massive amounts of tear gas and pepper balls. So it's actually the federal agents that were deploying this. Yeah, Minneapolis in a state of total and complete collapse. And who are these people fighting for exactly? Somebody tell me that? Oh yeah, they're fighting for the Somalis, who could not care less about them, wouldn't even step over their dead bodies. Somalis come here with bags of cash. We now know this. Here's the report, just the news. Now hundreds of millions of dollars caught at the Minneapolis airport. TSA flagged daily 99 times larger than the cash going out of New York's JFK and Minneapolis. Flagged nearly $700 million in cash leaving Minneapolis airport in the last 2 years, believed to go directly to Somali immigrants, their country, and you know where that goes, Boko Haram, into radical Islamist terrorism. Here we go.
Cash transfers. There are Somali couriers who come to the airport almost daily with $1,600,000 in cash and a luggage. That sounds a little suspicious, right? It was going on daily, and they were moving about $350 million a year in cash in their luggage out of Minneapolis airport, and then traditionally, or predominantly, overseas. One of the routes that the TSA saw the money go, it would go from Minneapolis to Europe to Dubai, often through Amsterdam. It was flagged for years. TSA was flagging these payments for years. They grew from $20-30 million a year to $350 million a year in the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025. It was literally a foreign ATM taking cash out of the United States to foreign destinations, and we don't know the reason why. But that is now under investigation by the FBI and HSI. And people say, well, is this normal?
No, it's not normal. Let me answer that for the great John Solomon. And by the way, let's get John Solomon on the show. Let's see if we can't get John on the show. Such an awesome reporter. Let's see if we can't do a full, detailed, deep dive into that. We have Byron Donalds coming up here in just one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, quite a bit to digest and to take in right now from the news cycle, but things are going exceedingly well in the first week of Trump. The way Trump's moving, the way this movement is cooking, it's an exciting time. And we're a part of it. It's exciting to be here. Speaking of cooking, just really fast. When you're cooking, my house, you're going to be eating some masa chips. It's just it. It's just a matter of fact. Byron Donalds from Florida. He hasn't been over for dinner yet. So, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Byron likes masa chips. So I can tell you this, that masa sent a box of chips to our house. And our neighbors stole them. We don't live in a thieving neighborhood. But what I mean by that is, like, my wife, they wanted, there's like major back orders right now, and my wife just straight up like gifted them the box. It's like, here you go, you can have it. These are the best chips in the world. My wife is extremely picky. She does not like slop being fed to us. All the more important that she is a big time Maha influencer. was at the Maha. That was chilling with RFK, and more to come on that. There's some fun projects with RFK that we're going to do. Nonetheless, this is Maha approved. No secret. Totally organic. Corn, salt, beef tallow, boom. That's it. That's all you got. It's all you need. Tastes delicious. Feel great afterwards. Give Masa a try. Go to masachips.com/Benny. Use code Benny for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/Benny. Code Benny for 25% off your first order. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've inspired a Gavin Newsom crash out. We inspired a Gavin Newsom crash out. I don't want to delay Byron's hit here. I know Byron's set and ready to go. Just want to touch on this like really quickly. Gavin Newsom has been non-stop posting about our show because we announced last week that we are heading to California. In that time, we have an email. Please email us, fraud@bennyjohnson.com. The number of emails that have come roaring into the inbox, thousands and thousands. Some of those leads we have followed up. We read every single one. Some of those leads we have followed up, and hot damn, do we have the mother of all frauds that we are going to go out and uncover. We have been going hard on the research and has been burning the midnight oil, as they say. These are complicated networks of fraud. They try and cover this stuff up. NGOs, shell games. There is direct connection to the Democrat mafia in the state. The corruption is endemic. It is strip mining and defrauding the California and federal taxpayer. Yes, they have found billions of dollars in fraud in Minneapolis. That's like a day's work in California. This kind of stuff is happening at scale. And when you actually are able to pull the data, find the truth, send the FOIAs, get the lawyers involved, force them to turn over their books, which we have, then you are going to be astonished at what we have found. We're heading out to California this week. We've made no bones about it. We don't have to play the clip.
Thanks for the likes. Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. Happy Monday. Thank you, Mitchell.
Previewing all of this on Fox, and Gavin Newsom's little press account has been psychotically posting about us to the point of put up the last one, please. To the point of the fact we had to like roast back. We had to absolutely like go scorched earth. Made us the not top trending topic in the world this morning. Our little fight with Gavin.
But why haven't they showed you this video? You gotta repost it because, it's the truth.
Where is your backup?
No backup.
This is
Why?
our damn Capitol building, and y'all are letting it get destroyed on your watch. Call for backup. Get some help down here.
Almost everybody blank.
Whew, that escalated quickly. Hot damn, man. Gavin's got some problems, and we are going to be heading to California. And before we bring on Byron Donalds, I just want to say we have a full research team at this site. We have full production capacity. We are going to be taking all of the energy from the show, and we are going to be delivering biblical results on fraud in California. We'll be joined there by some incredible California patriots on the ground who have to suffer and live under this tyranny and want real change, and we are excited to deliver. It's because of you, this audience, that we are able to do this. We are thankful to God for you. This is the purpose of this show and this site. Ladies and gentlemen, expose the darkness, and the light shall set you free. The truth shall set you free. It's going to be a incredible week. So joining us now, first guest of the week. Couldn't think of anyone better than one of Gavin Newsom's arch enemies, Byron Donalds, running for governor of Florida. He's hustling, man. He's just hustling.
Byron Donalds.
Ever seen that Gavin Newsom clip? He was hustling, man. Gavin Newsom goes on a black podcast. He like talks about how he grew up hustling and eating Wonder Bread, mac and cheese. You ever seen that, Byron?
I saw it once. Nobody really believes it. I mean, it's just, that's who he is, man. It's funny when you said I was like his, I guess, arch enemy or arch nemesis or something. Made me sound like Batman, so I'll take it.
Yeah, the Daily Show went and pulled a bunch of clips of me talking about how much I love Batman. And I was like, well, okay, like, guilty as charged. You guys did your research, but like, thanks for being fans of the show. This is like a good metaphor. Here's another clip for you, Daily Show, actually. But yeah, you can put it up front. You can put it up. So there you go. Yeah, like, dude, you guys are gonna devote like 5 minutes to roasting me for liking Batman? Okay, it's like fine.
Does anybody even watch the Daily Show anymore?
No. Actually, the most views this clip's gonna get is because we reposted it. Like it was a dead clip. Like my producer sent it to me this morning. He's like, "This actually could be funny."
I mean, when you said it, I was like, I forgot I didn't even know they were still on. So
I don't even know who the host is. Hold up, there we go.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So okay, we got some real issues here on a state level. I don't think anybody's ever. There's been a lot of focus on the federal government. Maybe we can like zoom out. Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom stuff. There's always this focus. You're part of a branch of the federal government right now, and everyone's always banging the pots and pans about the president and about the various cabinet secretaries and so on in Congress. A considerable amount. In fact, the things that affect your life the very most happen on a state level. No matter who you are in America. And where you choose to live is actually the federal government has much less effect on your life.
Thanks for sticking around. Appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. Like and subscribe.
Your state government. And that's why
a lot going on in Minnesota.
Focus on Minnesota and California right now, because it is the state level that changes the lives of people in Minnesota, California, New York, and so on. You agree with that, Byron?
No, I totally agree. That's the way the framers intended it. They wanted the federal government to have limited powers for issues that the states themselves could not deal with. This is why border security is the purview of the federal government. This is why foreign policy is the purview of the federal government. Coining money or the creation of dollars, the purview of the federal government. But many of these, many issues really are the responsibility of state governments and local governments, the governments that are closest to the people. So examining these fraud issues in Minnesota and now what you're revealing in California is critically important. I remember it was my first term in Congress, and there was a roundtable discussion with faith leaders from different parts of the country. And what these faith leaders said, it was just a roundtable discussion. They said that we keep hearing about all these programs that come from the federal government, but people weren't feeling them. And actually through these discussions, what you began to realize is that people on the ground weren't really being able to access these programs, but the money was still going out the door. A lot of this does stem from when federal money goes into state coffers for the disbursement of these aid packages, where you'll have federal money mixed with state money, and they're supposed to go to these organizations and these programs. We're already seeing in Minnesota, it was actually going to buy land in Kenya and Turkey, and then also to end up in the money changing networks in Somalia. And I would argue you're going to find the same thing in California, if not more. And I would really argue that this type of systemic fraud happens throughout too many states in America.
Yeah, so what should happen to these governors? There's a lot of rumors out. Nick Shirley's going to release another fraud expose investigation. It's going to be devastating today. I have some inside tips on what it's going to include. I'm just not sure how someone like Tim Walz survives all of this. Should he resign?
Yeah, he definitely should. I mean, I know it was a nice notion to say he was not going to run for re-election, but here's the truth, Ben. He's not running for re-election because he knows what happened under his watch is terrible. And I will also add, it's not that the fraud was occurring under his watch, it's that his administration was retaliating and threatening the whistleblowers. We have that on the testimony under oath from members of the Minnesota House Assembly. They testified that the workers were being retaliated against. We were trying to bring the fraud forward so it could be cleaned up. And it was Governor Walz, his lieutenant governor, Peggy Flanagan, and many others in that administration.
Yeah, what did you learn in that hearing? I know it was a long hearing. There were some viral clips out of it. I'm not sure if there was a classified element to that, or if there's something that happened just with the members of Congress. But could you summarize what came out of that, other than the criminal referrals to the DOJ?
Well, it wasn't a classified hearing. The information given is completely open. What was talked about in detail was that the Department of Human Services in the state of Minnesota was responsible for administering the programs dealing around daycare centers, an autism program, other programs supposed to help needy individuals in the state of Minnesota. What was happening is that you had these people who were creating these sham companies, these essentially empty storefronts, where there were no kids in daycare, no kids getting autism care, no people getting meals that were supposed to be handed out, and they were taking this money from general federal funding and also pandemic era funding. And instead of distributing this money to people who were in need, they were pocketing the money. They were buying real estate, flying on private jets, getting designer clothes, sending money back into Somalia and other parts of the world. I mentioned buying property in Kenya, buying property in Turkey. This fraud has been going on for quite some time, several years, during the entire administration of Governor Walz. What also came out in the hearing is that the state employees in the Department of Human Services were trying to get the fraud under control, and they were met with resistance and retaliation from the Walz administration. They were being told that they better not try to blow the whistle like this other person who got fired, or they would be met with the same fate. They were being told that they would be blackballed from any other future work in government operations. If they left state government and tried to go into counties in the state of Minnesota, they were told their careers would be ruined. Some of them were told, we know about your children, we know about your family, this is not going to end well for them as well. I mean, really grotesque, mob-like stuff coming from the Walz administration. And so it's the latter is the reason why Tim Walz is not running for re-election. There are many state employees. There was actually a letter I submitted for the record into that hearing, and the letter was detailed examples of the retaliation from the Walz administration against these state employees in Minnesota who were trying to bring that fraud to light, into the sunshine, like you were just talking about in California, and then wanted to make sure that fraud was ended. The vast majority of this is in the Somali community in Minnesota. And the reason why this is important is because the Somali community in Minnesota is very tight-knit. Not a lot of people come in and out from other aspects of Minnesota's population. And so when, like, this is where Nick Shirley's video comes in, when people are on the ground talking about it, you get a lot of people who are saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I never saw anything. I've never seen kids go in there, but don't talk to me. Very close-knit community covering it up. And the Somali community, in part, the people who were engaged in fraud, they were making political donations, and they were actually threatening the administration, saying, if you try to close us down, we're going to say it's because you're Islamophobic and because you're racist. And they were also organizing votes for Tim Walz and other officials in Minnesota.
Yeah, the whole you're Islamophobic and you're racist lines, like, it's not 2022 anymore, bro, right? Like, this is just patent fraud, and we just don't care where you come from. But it is particularly insulting that people who have just arrived in this nation are making out with $50 million worth of fraud, and a lot of that money is going back to Boko Haram in a suitcase. Has anybody ever explained to you, Byron, why America needs hundreds of thousands of Somali migrants? Is that like what is that exactly? As governor of Florida, would you fight that? Would you say, like, hey, this is incompatible with Western civilization to have third world migration, like to have like endless, unlimited, infinity third world migration?
I totally agree. It makes no sense. We don't need that in Florida. No state needs that. And this is really the fault of the radical left Democrats. They want wide open borders. They want mass immigration, whether it's illegal or legal, coming from third world countries, because what they're trying to do is have people who are dependent on the largesse of federal programs so that they have future voters. Let's just be very clear. That's what this is about. They want people who are relying on Democrat promises so that Democrats can continue to have political power in the United States. So they don't care about the budgets of these various states or the federal government. They do not care about the cultural and political cohesion of the United States. They definitely don't care about assimilation, which is the biggest problem. Benny, this is one of the reasons why for 15 years in politics, I've been opposed to chain migration. America should go back to a quota system on immigration where we stipulate how many people are going to come in legally, and I stress legally, from various countries around the world. The United States, we're a great country. People come here and they've done wonderful things for themselves and for their families. But when you have wide open immigration, wide open illegal immigration, with no real ability to control that, coupled with a welfare state, what you create is a disaster. This is what's happened in most of the European countries. Wide open immigration, welfare state, and it has systematically destroyed the political framework of a lot of those countries. We cannot let that happen here. And I'll go a little bit further than that. People need to go back and go on YouTube, look up Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman, Nobel Prize winning economist. He talked about this incessantly back in the 70s. And he said that America's going to have to choose. You can either have wide open borders or you can have a welfare state, but you cannot have both. If you have both, it will lead to the political and cultural unwinding of your country. I do not believe in wide open borders. Quite frankly, I don't really even totally believe in a welfare state. I think there are people who at times in life, they do need help. Like my mom and I, when I was very young, there was times my mom needed help so she could get back on her feet. And I think as Americans, we believe in helping out our fellow American if they're in need. But these never-ending, unwielding welfare states coupled with
these judges are tripping.
Illegal immigration like under Joe Biden, and even chain migration, which is legal under federal law today, which needs to change, that is not going to help the future of America.
Yeah, the Hart-Celler Act is arguably the worst piece of legislation ever put forward and passed in Congress. What a curse on us by our grandparents' generation in 1965. It's terrible. Maybe rolled back a little bit by Tim Burchett here. I know your strong ally and friend in the House. I know that you two have a great working relationship. He demands Ilhan Omar's immigration records immediately. Do you agree with this House Intelligence Committee subpoena for Ilhan Omar's full immigration records?
Yeah, and I think House Intel is the proper venue for this. Number one, House Intel, their hearings are typically not open, frankly, to other members of Congress where they become political and do all kind of other stuff. But I think this is very important. And here's why. If her naturalization into the United States was fraudulent, then she's ineligible to serve in Congress. It's just that simple. And I think we need to get to the bottom of that. And I think before people want to say, oh, well, this is just political. No, it's not. Number one, I think Representative Omar, she's been clear about where her allegiance lies, and it's not to the United States. She's on the record saying this multiple times. Number two, if you have people who are basically defrauding our naturalization process, they need to be removed from the country. It's just that simple. And I think people want to play politics with it. That's not the case. These are the same. This is what we would do in our own homes, Benny. You were talking about the masa chips earlier. I heard you. And yes, your wife is a wonderful woman. First of all, let me tell everybody watching the Benny Show, Benny's actually a very good father. You know, he plays with his kids. He holds them. He changes diapers. He's a good father. He's a good dad. But you don't just invite everybody into your home. And if they lie about how they got into your home, I mean, Benny's a little bit of a softie, but his wife is not. She would remove them immediately. If that's the rules for a house, it's the rules for a nation. Those are the rules for my home. It's the rules for anybody else's home in America. We have to have the same rules as a country. People can't lie and defraud their way into your home, and if they do, you remove them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are actually multiple people awaiting federal trial right now who have tried to get into my home and weren't invited, and they left in handcuffs, and that's just the role of any head of the household. And I'm very happy to be testifying against them quite soon in federal court. And so my question to you is, will any of these governors leave in handcuffs? Tom Emmer has said that he predicts that Tim Walz will leave his office in handcuffs. I mean, Tim Walz is facing an onslaught of federal investigations from what is conceivably every single department and administration official that could have any nexus in Minneapolis. You're talking about the Department of Agriculture, Labor, Small Business. You have the Department of Justice and Treasury.
the FBI, HHS, Homeland Security, all of them looking into Minnesota, many of them doing full halts and freezes of funding for Minnesota. It's an inoperable state at this point. Do you believe that Tim Walz will leave office in handcuffs?
It's very possible, and here's why I say that. It's one thing to be incompetent. I think everybody in the country views Tim Walz as somebody who's incompetent. I mean, he even said to himself he's kind of a knucklehead sometimes. He said that about himself. I think everybody views incompetency when they think about him. But this is more than that. When you're intimidating whistleblowers in your state, now that is where you get into the realm of conspiracy. And if you are now conspiring to keep the fraud going, in my view, yes, you should face criminal charges for that.
Okay, so criminal charges, Nicolas Maduro. As governor of Florida, you would be overseeing one of the largest populations of Venezuelans outside of Venezuela, and one of the largest populations, I think the largest, without question, the largest population of Cubans outside of Cuba. There's practically as many Cubans in Florida as there are in Cuba. And the president and his administration is now going hard against Cuba and the Castro regime. We traveled to Cuba, man, that door is ready to be kicked in. That country is on the verge, absolute total verge of collapse as well. But as the governor of Florida, you'd have some major potential instability. You might have a lot of celebrations in the street and so on. I mean, when the Cuban regime falls, it's going to be it's going to be a state holiday here in Florida. Certainly in the city, in the neighborhoods where I live, where there's a lot of Cuban refugees. What would be, what is your take, your thought process on sort of the Don Road doctrine that is happening right now in South America?
Well, first of all, the Cuban regime being allowed to exist this long is really not just an affront to the Cubans in Miami and in Florida who have been desiring peace and liberty for their family members, and frankly, justice for family members who did not make it out of Cuba, who were killed by the Castro regime, whose property was stolen. That's one thing. Number two, it's really an affront to the United States because it's really been a haven for Russia and China in our hemisphere, 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. And so I think the Cuban regime falling in Cuba is definitely in America's interest. I think for the people who might be concerned about instability, my response to you is, so you would desire the stability of Russia and China having a foothold 90 miles off the coast of the United States? That doesn't really sound like something that's helpful to us. So I would rather have the regime fall and then we figure out what's next than the regime be emboldened and allowed to continue and undermine the United States so close to us, and also continue to rob the liberty.
Happy Monday. Thanks for joining in.
On the island of Cuba today. Number three, I would say that with the president getting rid of Maduro, which was the absolute right thing, what's going to occur now is that the oil that was used to go into Cuba and also go to China and Russia is going to put a real stranglehold on Cuba economically. And like the president said, I believe last night, it's in their interest to come in and make a deal and figure out where we go from here. But I will say with unequivocally, I want to see a free Cuba. That is something that is long overdue. If you're going to talk about the Monroe Doctrine or the Don Road Doctrine, it is in the interest of the United States that we have neighboring countries who are allies to us. Period.
How many Cubans are in? Can you ask Brock, how many Cubans are in Florida? Yeah, how many Cubans live in Florida? It's got to be hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it's easily hundreds of thousands. Could be more. I mean, you better ask Brock. Don't ask me. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I will tell you, if that regime falls, oh man, there's going to be parades from here all the way through the summertime. It will be a parade every day, especially in Hialeah, Florida. It'll be parades every day.
1.6
million? Okay.
Yeah. People of Cuban ancestry in the state of Florida. So a considerable portion of the Florida population will be running for governor of that population. What is your message to them on your stance when it comes to regime change in Cuba?
My stance is clear.
Go Bears.
With the people of Cuba, and I stand with our Cuban citizens here in Florida. That regime should have fallen a long time ago. That regime is a microcosm of how communist policies and socialist policies can not only just destroy a community, a society, or a state, it destroys the very well-being and fabric of cultures and families. And that's what's occurred when Castro came to take the power. And one of the things that's always disgusted me, you have young people in the United States wearing Che Guevara t-shirts, not understanding how brutal and crazy, frankly, that individual was, how many people he slaughtered, how much property was stolen from the Cuban people. I stand with the Cuban people. We want to see regime change. If that came, and Donald Trump brought that as well, man, look out. Florida, you think Miami-Dade is red now, just look out. It's gonna be a good thing, because at the end of the day, Benny, like, look, forget the politics. This is about people living to be free, being able to keep their money, keep their assets, pass it on to their families, live in harmony and peace, and not have a government that is outside its powers persecuting you just because you have a different point of view or because you won't bend the knee to their dictates. That's what everybody wants, whether you're Cuban, American, or anybody else.
Some people saying this might win Trump the Hispanic vote. What do you think?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Would you be in favor of extending Miami-Dade County and Palm Beach out to Cuba?
No. We're going to live within our borders. Cuba needs to have elections of their own for the first time in 8 years. They need to be a country standalone for themselves, seeking their interests, free from a dictatorish communist regime. What we want to do is be great partners with what the next wave of leadership in Cuba looks like, and so we can have mutual cooperation, mutual respect, and then whatever economic interest that we share is for the betterment of Florida, the betterment of Cuba, and for the betterment of the United States of America.
So few people understand exactly how critical Florida is to controlling this region, how many of the operations actually are take place in Florida or are staged in Florida, how very little of this could be even possible without Florida itself. The leadership here, ladies and gentlemen, Byron, is right here. He's got millions of subscribers on X. I'm feeling that number's going to 10X. Byron Donald's running away with the governor's race. Just in closing here, Congressman, what do the polls look like right now?
Polls are very strong. We're up about 40 points on just about everybody, and that's a good thing today, but we still have a lot of work to do. For the people of Florida, I need your vote and I need your support. We'd love to really be able to count on that. And our mission is simple. Florida is the best state in the union, the best state in America. We are the crown jewel of the United States. And my goal as Florida is for us to remain in that position, not just over the next 8 years, but over the next 30 years. Now, there's a lot of stuff we got to do, Betty. Obviously, home ownership, insurance, property taxes. We want to eliminate those. We support the governor and what he's trying to accomplish there. But it's also about bringing new industries, new high-paying jobs to our state. So
Thank you guys for staying with me. Thank you guys. Appreciate it,
I tell people all the time as I travel the state, my wife has a mandate of her own. Her mandate is that her sons raise their kids in Florida, so she doesn't have to leave the state to see her grandkids. And that's a mission from Mrs. Donald's. And so, if it's in my house and that's what she's asking for, that's what we're going to deliver for the free state of Florida.
That's exactly right. A lot of good young energy in this state. It's where young people want to get started. It's just such a great and energetic time to be here, particularly as the collapse is happening across the rest of the nation in California, which is so kind to give us all their electoral votes, Byron. What a nice thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Gavin. We really appreciate that. More people moving out of California than ever before. They hit record outflows this year.
Listen, when you get out there to California, you should take them some chocolates and say thank you. You should deliver it personally. I think that will go well.
Yeah. Charlie Kirk did the Gavin Newsom podcast. That was very, very interesting. We'll see. I doubt I'll get booked, but we'll see. Thank you, Congressman. And future
Byron Donald.
Godspeed.
Someone is going to go down. We heard even CNN admit that someone's going to pay the price, and it's going to be somebody with a big political career. Why do you think Walt suddenly retired from politics? Because he knows, guess what? He's got a bounty on his head. Listen right here to from Scott Jennings talking on CNN about how somebody has to pay the prices. The anchor protest. They're doing all they can.
Yeah. That nothing is being done, that no one is being held accountable, that this was just let to run rampant is completely false.
Well, some people have been held accountable, but I think in the opinion of most Republicans, not nearly enough. And truthfully, until somebody in a position of power, until somebody in a position in Minnesota, elected position, who was in charge of administering this or having some oversight over it goes to jail, it's honestly never going to stop. Look what's going on in blue states across the country. $9 billion in Minnesota, $70 billion in fraud in California, cooking the crime stats in Washington, D.C. When is someone in a position of power going to go to jail for the rampant fraud? What I am telling you, though, is in the case of these states and locales, this is public money, taxpayer money.
Sure.
People get elected. They're supposed to run
DOJ is doing their job every single day.
And they are. The Medicaid program is run by the state.
DOJ is prosecuting fraudsters
more money into this daycare
public.
Oh, hang on a second. I'm not sure. Some funny graphics, huh? If you're watching, we just had a little graphic on the screen. That's how you know I'm live. But I think it's interesting that the CNN anchor is trying to say, oh, the DOJ is doing their job, the DOJ. Oh, I guess she kind of likes Pam Bondi. I guess she's pretty happy. Pam Bondi didn't go after Comey the way they thought. Pam Bondi didn't get that indictment of Letitia James. And Pam Bondi is no longer being trusted with this case because guess what? Nothing's been happening. And we're getting a little frustrated because, there's a lot of things going down and there's midterms coming up. And you know what? Acceptable. It's not acceptable that $19 billion was stolen from you. It's not. And if Pam can't get the job done, and I'm sorry, I like her. You know what? I really do like her on a personal level. And we've been on Newsmax many times together, and she used to come on my Fox show. And you know what? I really do like her. And she's lovely in person, and she's beautiful on camera. And believe me, she does have the president's back. She's very loyal to him. She likes him, adores him, and he adores her. But I'm sorry, this business, okay? And
business.
I'm going to wear my little business hat for a while because you guys know that that's sort of my whole background, right, in business and in business journalism. I'm just going to say she's not the right person for the job because while she may be beautiful to look at on camera and while she may be very loyal to the president of the United States, at this point,
she ain't doing her job, damn it.
I say that as a former beauty queen myself, okay? Nothing against beauty queens. I like beauty queens. We need somebody who can actually execute on this. And so that means running an entire country's worth of other DAs that are going to go out, U.S. attorneys effectively, I guess a kind of a different arm of this U.S. attorney vehicle that are going to go out and they're going to work with the Treasury Department. They're going to work with the Department of Agriculture and Homeland Security and everybody that's involved in this, whether it be SNAP fraud, whether it be Medicaid and Medicare fraud. This is a big assignment, okay? So you can't just pass it off to Pam, who's frankly repeatedly forgotten to turn in the homework on time. You need the big leagues. And I don't know who that is. I mean, some of us have been talking about Jeanine Pirro, and Jeanine Pirro is the big leagues. And I know she was television. And sometimes I even, having worked in television, have a little bit bias against people in TV. My fear sometimes is that this administration likes to put people that look good on and sound good on because they're going to be great on TV, but they can't actually do the job. Jeanine Pirro can do the job. Jeanine Pirro was the real deal. And Jeanine Pirro had a long career as a prosecutor long before she ever wound up on Fox, okay? So that actually might be worth looking at. Harmeet Dillon is another one who's like a real attorney, not just a TV attorney. I don't want any TV attorneys, okay? I don't even want any politicians. I mean, I'd take Pirro, and I'd probably take Dillon. But I'd like somebody who maybe has run a big law firm, who's run a big litigation department, and knows how to manage this process, because we're going to need a lot done. And I don't think that Pam, I think they realize this is really up to the job. Hence, this is why you have JD now saying they are creating another position.
Because we are creating a new assistant attorney general position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud.
Because fraud's a big deal.
Anti-ICE protests erupting this weekend over the shooting of a Minnesota woman by an ICE officer as DHS Secretary Noem defends her domestic terrorism assessment.
If you look at what the definition. At least 583 people have been killed since unrest began in Iran 2 weeks ago over the economic.
And I'm not hiding to me. They say anti. That's the only part that I'm. And then the next couple is to say, listen. All right. So the show is gonna go on as usual. As soon as I jump off the 5150, as soon as I hit my hotel, I'm going straight back into. I'm jumping right on after hours. All right. All right. We working, y'all. We working. Let me see what's going on here. Read some of these cash apps and super chats, and we're gonna pop off. Valerie, what up, Valerie? Says great show. Michael Carroll says, look forward to building with the bag chasers. All right, I'm going to have to dig into that. We're going to add that to the docket for tomorrow. I don't have time to do it today because there's so much going on. All right, y'all. My true love is architecture. Did you go to CES? I did not. I didn't go to CES. I got here like a day after CES ended. AD, did you see the Philadelphia County Police Chief calling ICE wannabe police and saying that she would arrest them? Email it to me. I'm going to add all of that to the docket tomorrow. Email it to me and I'll add it all to the docket tomorrow. All right, y'all. So listen, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Let me put my chair up. So I've been relaxing. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Y'all ready to get started with the show? Y'all ready to get started with the show? All right, let's get it popping. So the first thing that I want to get into is we got to talk about the local news. So let me just give y'all an idea of what I want to go to. All right. I want to go into the local news. A mom of 3 was shot with her kids in the bed. Yeah, pretty grisly. The second thing that I want to get into is this U-Haul getting driven into.
Wow, what up, Steve?
Protesters in Los Angeles. So
Happy Monday.
Los Angeles. And then the next couple of segments, I'm gonna go into Ilyan Omar. Right, we want to tap into her because I think that she's public enemy #1. She was on the cover of the show today. I also want to get into PBS. So PBS, I don't know if y'all remember, but funding for NPR, PBS, and all of that was cut, and so they are signing off, and they're running a limited ship, and so I want to dig into that from a financial perspective. Jerome Powell sent the message directly to Trump. And so we're going to get to that. And then I want to talk about Omi and the Hellcat getting home because Bill was running up a bag. Crazy. All right. So we got a lot to get to. Again, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pin to the top of the chat. Send this to your friends and family. And let's run up a bag. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and again, I've been warning ladies extensively. I've been telling y'all that it is important for y'all to get up under a certain man's covering, whoever that is, whether it be your father, whether it be your community, whether it be your uncles, or whether you need to stay home with your man. There is so many women that are suffering because they continue to get with the wrong type of guy. And you handpicking for yourself the wrong type of guy is going to lead you into destruction. All right? So let me go ahead and play this story for y'all.
Oh, wow. You silly, man.
After a deadly shooting, the court case moves forward for the suspect or suspected accomplice of what deputies say was a staged home invasion murder. As West News' David Jones reports, 2 men were arrested in an Orange County mother's killing, and 1 has now been transferred into Orange County custody.
Investigators say 30-year-old mother Porsche Streeter ran a
hairdressing business from her apartment, which became a crime scene. In January 2024, deputies responded to find Streeter shot to death and her boyfriend, 32-year-old Son Range Jr., who was shot in his upper arm. A year and some change later, the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrested Range for the killing, saying he orchestrated the whole thing, along with Benjamin Garman, making it all look like a home invasion.
You're now in a situation where you are looking at life in prison.
Criminal defense attorney Trey Flynn, who's unassociated with the case, says the brutal nature of the killing elevates it.
This is a very, very, very serious crime. In this situation, Mr. Garman is alleged to have shot somebody not just one time, but 10 times. And what does that mean? That means there's an aggravation there in this sort of homicide case. You're not going to be able to claim self-defense in this sort of situation.
This new mugshot of Garman was taken when he was transferred to Orange County custody. He was previously being held out of county on federal weapons charges, to which he pled guilty.
They executed a search warrant on a residence that he was at after the homicide took place. During that time, they located firearms in the residence, and the federal prosecutors felt, hey, as a convicted felon, as somebody possessing firearms, this is a case that is of interest of us.
Investigators allege Range and Garman set up the home invasion killing because of a custody dispute between Range and Streeter over their shared children, and because Range said Streeter was hiding money from him. David Jones, West 2 News.
You talking about this?
Well, Garman's arraignment is scheduled for January 26th. We have reached out to the state attorney's office for an update on Range. Of course, we will let you know as soon as.
So, what it sounds like, because what I'm trying to understand is they were having a custody battle and dispute. They had kids together. And let me go back to what this woman looked like really quickly. Give me a second. Porsche, they calling her Porsche. Usually women like this, they're named Portia. So Portia, right, had a custody dispute, and she had multiple different kids with this guy. And let me preface this by saying that I advocate for nobody to ever lose their life. Under no circumstances am I pushing, or do I think that death should be pushed on people that are having custody disputes, that are arguing with each other, or any of that type of stuff. I don't, right? I think that everybody should be able to walk away, and then y'all figure it out amicably, so on and so forth. But he was having a custody dispute with this chick, right? With his children's mother. But then they said that he was shot in the shoulder, and that's the part that I'm trying to figure out, that I'm confused about. How were you shot in the shoulder? I don't understand that part. How were you shot in the shoulder? Were you shot in the shoulder mistakenly? Were you trying to stage it to where y'all actually broke in and killed her, and then you made it seem like you was already there and that you got shot in the shoulder during the whole process? Shabo says because he set it up, but this is what I'm trying to understand, Shabo, was he setting it up to where he was already there? Was he already there? And then they tried to pretend like the home invasion happened, and then he said, hey, shoot me in the shoulder. How did that play out is what I'm saying. That's the only part that I'm confused about. I don't understand. Correct. You got to make it look real. I get it. But was it? Okay, I think y'all missing what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Was he already supposed to be there? Was he already there? And maybe they slept together, or maybe there was overnight, or maybe there was just, you know what I'm saying, he stayed there overnight to kick it with the kids.
I'm a bopper myself. I wouldn't have done it to him. That's crazy.
The other guy as a home invasion, kill her, and then try to make it seem like he was already there. That is what I'm trying to understand. You get what I'm saying? And the reason that I'm asking that is because if he was already there, then that means that at some point they were amicable enough for him to stay there. Like she trusted him to be able to stay overnight because that is my child's father. Whereas if they were just straight up beefing,
He went to court with that haircut. That's
he would have
bogus.
to later
Damn.
stage it or do it on that type of time. Either way, right? Because we don't have the details, we don't have the context, and she is not alive to be able to say it. But the fact that she was shot 3 times in the bed with the kids is insane. It's absolutely insane. And a lot of y'all, often at times, are sleeping with the person that is your killer. You are having children with your killer. When I say it is more important to find people of good character instead of all of this other superficial nonsense that we talk about, I'm telling you that character matters. Effort, character, consistency. Effort, character, consistency. Everything else falls under that. And that goes for men and for women. Because if you are only focused on them based off of what you like about them or any of that type of stuff at first, it is going to come back and haunt you. It may not necessarily come back and haunt you the way that it haunted her, but it definitely will come back to haunt you because they don't have your best interest at heart. So if you cannot get with anybody and the foundation behind what y'all stand on, because in order for you to get with somebody that got good character, you're going to have to have good character. You are what you attract often at times. You said they love bad boys because often at times they're a bad girl. When I see dudes that keep on messing with hoes and then they come to me and they say, Anton, man, ain't no good girls out here. Most of the time, I can pretty much tell whether or not you're a POS guy. Because we always talk about what's wrong with the other person, but what is wrong with us that we keep attracting and or dealing with people that aren't good people?
President Trump overnight standing in solidarity with protesters fighting against oppression in Iran. The president writing on Truth Social, "We are locked and loaded and ready to go."
So as protesters storm Iran's capital, it looks like the entire country is slated for collapse because the capture of Venezuela's dictator means Iran's radical leaders have just lost their lifeline as their partner in crime is no longer around to help them launder money, fund extremist groups, and evade U.S. sanctions. Meanwhile, President Trump says America is ready to defend Iranian protesters if their government tries anything.
Tonight, tense clashes between protesters and security forces in Iran. The demonstrations have been escalating for days, sparked by worsening economic conditions in the country.
The violent protests forced a government shutdown in 21 provinces as protests spread over skyrocketing prices and economic collapse. The protests are the largest in Iran since 2022.
I was told last summer that if the president struck the Iranian nuclear program, the consequences would be World War III and the consolidation of support for the Iranian regime within Iran. Obviously, the opposite essentially in both cases has come to pass.
Cost of living is high, inflation is soaring, and Iran's currency recently crashed to a record low against the dollar.
He means it. And he means what he says here. I think he understands that the people there are going to be a target. I think he understands that we have the upper hand on oil. And the president of the United States of America has been crystal clear. You don't mess with him. When he tells you there's a red line, he means it.
So as protests rock Iran, the connection between that nation and Venezuela cannot be understated. And what nobody's talking about is the capture of Venezuela's dictator now means other dictatorships that used to cooperate with his may soon collapse as well. And Iran especially is in a tough spot because the protests rocking its capital started before the U.S. moved on Maduro, removing
the dear leader from his bedroom at 2 a.m. and placing him in a New York City jail before he even knew what time it was. An event that spells bad news for Iran's dictatorship and supreme leader, who just lost their strategic partner with whom they evaded U.S. sanctions on their corrupt economies and helped train and fund dangerous groups. And here's how that worked. Failing communist Venezuela always runs out of gasoline because they can't seem to refine their own oil, which just spurts out of the ground. Oil which they were shipping across the world to Iran, who would keep some of it as payment and then send the rest back to Venezuela as refined fuel. On top of that, Venezuela was funding various Iranian groups who commit crime, launder money, and exploit the U.S. border, and some of Venezuela's islands were even bases for Iranian military activities, which supported all of the above right on America's doorstep. But as you're about to see, the most frightening thing for Iran's leaders isn't happening in their country where the protests are taking place. No, instead it's happening all over the Western Hemisphere.
No, porque sienta que este momento. Esto no tiene comparación. Gracias, Dios mío. Gracias, Dios. Me arrodillé y lloré en mi casa.
Mucha emoción, el ambiente es impresionante y el
Venezuelans all over the world are celebrating the fall of Nicolas Maduro, an alleged cartel leader and one of the most dangerous dictators to ever walk the earth. And that's terrifying for the leaders of Iran, who are now wondering if they could suddenly find themselves removed from power in ways they don't even think are possible.
Thank you guys for staying with me. Appreciate it.
Possible. And up until he was extracted from his bedroom by armed Marines, he was threatening America, said he's not going anywhere. President Trump even called him and said, listen, you should leave Venezuela. You should protect your family. And he ignored that. Now he's in federal custody. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And this is something the protesters in Iran are no doubt watching as they take to the streets to secure their country before it collapses completely, with hyperinflation destroying their economy, leading to food and energy price increases Joe Biden and America's Socialist Democrat Party could only dream of creating. And things are so bad in the country right now that Iran may fall in weeks or even in the next few days.
The demonstrations have been escalating for days, sparked by worsening economic conditions in the country. Cost of living is high, inflation is soaring, and Iran's currency recently crashed to a record low against the dollar. This video shows a protester sitting in the street, appearing to defy officers, leading some online to draw comparisons to this image from Tiananmen Square. While in Tehran, a number of shopkeepers closed their doors in protest earlier this week. They appear to be the biggest demonstrations in the country since 2022, when mass protests erupted over the death of Mahsa Amini after she was arrested for not properly wearing a hijab.
So everything's collapsing in Iran at the exact same time. The currency's becoming worthless. People are struggling to buy food. Businesses can't sell anything because the currency every single day is just completely worthless. And the civil rights of common people don't exist. It's all coming down at once. And it was all propped up because Iran had willing partners like Venezuela that helped them stay in business. And ask yourself, why are business owners shutting their doors? Simple. Inflation's so terrible they can't sell anything to anyone today and not have lost money tomorrow if they sold to somebody else. Now, U.S. sanctions on countries like Iran are a big player in this, yes, as they're effectively cut off from the global marketplace, as they should be, with their corrupt government funding the worst of the worst, gangs, cartels, militant groups. But this is why their relationship with Venezuela was so important.
These riots and protests need to stay at home at the cost of their job.
Doorstep. They're also an energy-rich country with an oil industry, but now Venezuela's gone, and Iran can't team up with anyone to stay open any longer, and these protests are threatening to take down the whole place. Protests America's enemies inside America itself are reacting to in the most predictable of ways.
A lot of the policies that we've put in place has kind of helped lead the devastation in Venezuela, and we've sort of set the stage for where we are arriving today. This particular bullying and the use of sanctions to eventually intervene and make regime change really does not help the people of countries like Venezuela, and it does not help, and it's not in the interest of the United States.
Right. So according to Representative Omar, if there's a despotic dictatorship out there that is starving its own people and taking away all of their rights and ruling them with an iron fist, it's actually the United States' fault if we're trying to shut down that government peacefully and things get worse in that country because of that government. No, it's not the fault of the evil people running places like Venezuela and Iran. No, it's the fault of the United States. This view is fundamentally wrong. And as we just saw with Venezuela, the United States is not looking for regime change, rather just replacement of a criminal who found themselves in power with somebody who actually wants to benefit the people of that country. On top of that, you can't let a hostile foreign nation that funds groups which hate America exists right on the country's doorstep. This is bad news. On top of that, if you listen to people who dislike America and want to see America fail, even if they're elected representatives in America, you've got to admit, everybody has to admit, the entire world has admitted that Iran and Venezuela were just way better off 50 years ago than they are today. Here we are acting like these places are perfect and Trump should leave them alone when they're just getting worse every single year.
Iran has gone from being an amazing country with great capabilities to a state where people don't have money for bread.
Right.
She said Iranians have been crying out for help for a long time.
Since 2016, I'd like to say, I've been receiving messages all the time from Iranians who are asking Israel's support to eliminate this regime. Do I think that it should be someone else's job? No. Do I think that we can support and be the voice of support to those people? Yes.
The Iranian president blamed the current economic crisis on an ongoing war with Iran's enemies.
Right now, the enemy has placed most of...
Right, so Iran's out there starting wars, funding the wrong people, supporting the wrong groups, doing it while helping countries like Venezuela evade sanctions that are designed to cripple these governments and get them to transition peacefully. Nope, they're digging in their heels. They're out there doing all that. But, it's America's fault. Yeah, things were better a long time ago, but Trump, it's his fault. He's the one making things worse, even though things have progressively gotten worse, less, I was going to say, in these despotic regimes during multitudes of U.S. presidents. Things have not been trending in the right direction for a long time. And to be honest with you, this makes it pretty clear why so many of America's haters and the leaders of various countries around the world are so upset right now, because to those who instigate these countries, they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They don't think they're doing anything wrong by funding these wicked groups. They don't think they're doing anything wrong by being sanctuary nations for criminals or for the wrong individuals, even though those are the very groups that make the people of these countries suffer incredibly with state-sponsored help from these regimes.
The enemy has placed most of its hopes on knocking us down through economic pressure. We cannot conquer a nation with bombs, fighter jets, or missiles. To defeat us, they would have to come and face us on the ground.
And they might not have
to. The protests come after a report from Iran International on Sunday that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is developing chemical and biological warheads for its ballistic missiles. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed the possibility of a second strike on Iran this year in his meeting with President Trump in Mar-a-Lago, Florida.
You know what's crazy? Everybody was told that the first strike on Iran was going to be the end of America, because what was this going to do? If Trump went in there and got rid of their nuclear facilities, which they were allegedly going to use for less than peaceful purposes, we were all told, if Trump does that, the country's going to rally around its regime. They're going to tell people that they're being attacked, that their way of life is in danger. But the opposite of that has happened. The people in Iran right now see that their life is in danger. They see whose fault it is. They're not stupid people. That's why they're protesting. They were not manipulated, as our media told us was going to happen. They didn't wake up one morning and say, Trump just attacked Iran. I guess we should all start hating on Trump now. No, they understand that they are being ruled by a group of people who want to maintain power at all costs and aren't necessarily operating in a manner that helps anybody in that country get ahead. That's why they got hyperinflation right now. That's why they got food shortages. That's why businesses, poor business owners that are trying to get ahead and be industrious just can't seem to do it. They can't even sell things. So what do? They shut down. Meanwhile, the protests happening in Iran are happening over the number one issue America's rising socialists and communists say everybody should care about. But for some reason, they don't support these protesters, and they certainly don't want to see Trump help them.
Now, what is this all about? Well, you mentioned a couple of points in your introduction. The first one is the fall in the value of the rial, the currency of Iran, which has gone spiraling downwards compared to the US dollar. Here are a few facts for you. Back in July 2015, it was 32,000 rial to $1. Today, it's 1.42 million rial to $1, which basically means for each dollar's worth of goods that's bought into the country, there's been this massive increase in the cost in rial, which means people just can't afford to buy anything. They can't even afford a phone cover in plastic, which you or I will be able to buy for next to nothing.
Yeah, right. Like, this is hyperinflation. And what do you think would happen in your neighborhood if every business just locked its doors and shut down and people took to the streets? I mean, that is the very definition of civil unrest. And everybody who would have shopped at those places has no choice but to look out in the street and see what's going on. I mean, that's why these protests are so massive. The economy has ceased to function, and inflation is destroying this economy. There's no reason for anyone to do business today if doing business tomorrow means you just lost money yesterday. People are going to hold what they've got and hope that things improve before they reopen, which is essentially a doom loop for an economy. Hyperinflation is a doom loop, and it's happening right here. And when hyperinflation happens, things change quickly for those in power.
And the situation is getting out of control. So that's the first point. The second point, if that wasn't bad enough, is that inflation is also high in Iran, 42.2% overall, 72% for food and going up, and the same for medical items at 50% according to the Iranian.
You would think that the party of socialism in America would be totally behind these protests, because what are they rallying over? Affordability. Look at it, 72% more expensive when you go to the grocery store. That sounds like we need a Zoran Mamdani government-run grocery store, doesn't it? Wouldn't that come into Iran and fix everything? How come we're not trying to help these people? Why isn't America united on this? Because the parties out there that dislike America, both inside of it and outside of it, they don't want to see success if it doesn't come from them. All they want to do is be the anti-party. Anything that Trump wants to do, oh, no, that's a bad idea. You want to go to Venezuela, you want to get rid of a dangerous dictator who hurts his own people and helps America's enemies prop up their own regimes. No, don't do that. Bad move. Venezuela, great place. You know what's so crazy? We're hearing now from all of the people who told us we needed a wide open border in America that we needed it because countries like Venezuela were so terrible. Everybody who's there should just be allowed to come here and live in America. And now that Venezuela is about to be safer, no, bad move. Don't do it. It's like they would rather have people be refugees in America forever and live here illegally than get to go back to their home country, which, by the way, now that it's gone, is such a problem for Iran. Iran, all of these protests over there, these recently started when heat was turned up on Venezuela. These recently started when things started getting worse over there. Yes, they've started again. There have been protests in the past, but now things are in a real trouble spot because Iran can't evade U.S. sanctions without the help of countries like Venezuela. They can't launder money without the help of that regime. That regime is gone. Cuba's also on notice, by the way.
State Statistics Center, which all in all, according to economists, is approaching hyperinflation in Iran. So all of these factors brought together have meant that people are fed up with the situation. They want the regime to do something about it. They say officials have offered no support so far.
Yeah, they can.
They also fear that there could be tax increases.
They don't know what to do.
At the start of the Iranian New Year, because the fall of oil revenue is very important. And so the only way out of this is for the regime to put up taxes, which of course they say they want.
Oh, right there, the fall of oil revenue. Now Iran is under sanctions, so they're not even supposed to be out there selling their oil. It's difficult for them to do that, and that was one of the main ways they evaded sanctions was with the help of Venezuela. Venezuela really helped Iran with their oil industry, didn't it? If Venezuela is going to take one of their tankers, send it across the world full of oil that they cannot refine themselves, which they just so happen to find in their country because they've been blessed with immense natural resources, Iran takes that container, they unload the entire thing, they keep half of that oil, possibly even a little bit more. They refine the rest into usable fuel, send that back to Venezuela, where Venezuela would then sell some of it to Cuba. I mean, you've got this triple triad here, these people keeping themselves in power. But now they can't do that anymore. And there goes Iran's sanction evasion, money laundering machine, which was keeping this regime over there in power, propping it up, as we just heard, oil revenues, big business. But now that business is gone.
Why is the economic situation just so bad?
Well, you don't need to look very far, Nadia. I mean, if you think about all the sanctions that have been imposed on Iran over the years, that's nothing new. Basically, to stop Iran from developing its nuclear deterrent. This is something that Iran has always said it's not going to do. It did sign that nuclear deal back in 2015, which led to the lifting of some of the sanctions. But after the US pulled out in 2018, Iran went back to enriching uranium, and those sanctions have been reimposed since then, just more recently by the United Nations, which has caused more...
Okay, so these are United Nations sanctions. The entire world is aware of what's going on here. The entire world understands that this regime is not friendly and it's not peaceful. And what are you supposed to do if you've got an evil empire ruling over a country? Nobody wants to see Iran invaded by the U.S. military. Nobody wants to see people dragged out of their bedrooms at 2 a.m. unless that's the only answer for peace in a certain country and for regime replacement in a certain country. And it's certainly not the fault of the United States or even the United Nations that these sanctions have to exist at all. You've got to cut off your enemy. You've got to choose the most peaceful route possible and see if it works, even if it's not an immediate route. Yet we're being told, oh, these sanctions mean that America's just the bully. I mean, somebody should tell the elected representatives in U.S. Congress that these are UN sanctions. This isn't even something that America has unilaterally decided to do.
The first point, and I think there's also...
Try it this way.
All three passed only because of universal. When you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party comes to mind? The Republicans or the Democrats? Most people would probably say the Democrats, but this answer is incorrect. Since its founding in 1829, the Democratic Party has fought against every major civil rights initiative and has a long history of discrimination. The Democratic Party defended slavery, started the Civil War, opposed Reconstruction, founded the Ku Klux Klan, imposed segregation, perpetrated lynchings, and fought against the Civil Rights Acts of the 1950s and 1960s. In contrast, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an anti-slavery party. Its mission was to stop the spread of slavery into the new Western territories with the aim of abolishing it entirely. This effort, however, was dealt a major blow by the Supreme Court in the 1857 case, Dred Scott versus Sandford. The court ruled that slaves aren't citizens, they're property. The 7 justices who voted in favor of slavery, all Democrats. The 2 justices who dissented, both Republicans. The slavery question was, of course, ultimately resolved by a bloody civil war. The commander-in-chief during that war was the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, the man who freed the slaves. 6 days after the Confederate surrender, John Wilkes Booth, a Democrat, assassinated President Lincoln. Lincoln's vice president, a Democrat named Andrew Johnson, assumed the presidency. But Johnson adamantly opposed Lincoln's plan to integrate the newly freed slaves into the South's economic and social order. Johnson and the Democratic Party were unified in their opposition to the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which gave blacks citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave blacks the vote. All three passed only because of universal Republican support. During the era of Reconstruction, federal troops stationed in the South helped secure rights for the newly freed slaves. Hundreds of black men were elected to Southern state legislatures as Republicans, and 22 black Republicans served in the U.S. Congress by 1900. The Democrats did not elect a black man to Congress until 1935. But after Reconstruction ended, when the federal troops went home, Democrats roared back into power in the South. They quickly reestablished white supremacy across the region with measures like black codes, laws that restricted the ability of blacks to own property and run businesses, and they imposed poll taxes and literacy tests used to subvert black citizens' right to vote. And how was all of this forced? By terror, much of it instigated by the Ku Klux Klan, founded by a Democrat, Nathan Bedford Forrest. As historian Eric Foner, himself a Democrat, notes, in effect, the Klan was a military force serving the interests of the Democratic Party. President Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat, shared many views with the Klan. He resegregated many federal agencies and even screened the first movie ever played at the White House, the racist film, The Birth of a Nation, originally entitled The Klansman. A few decades later, the only serious congressional opposition to the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 came from Democrats. 80% of Republicans in Congress supported the bill, less than 70% of Democrats did. Democratic senators filibustered the bill for 75 days until Republicans mustered the few extra votes needed to break the logjam. And when all of their efforts to enslave blacks, keep them enslaved, and then keep them from voting had failed, the Democrats came up with a new strategy. If black people are going to vote, they might as well vote for Democrats, as President Lyndon Johnson was purported to have said about the Civil Rights Act. I'll have them voting Democrat for 200 years. So now, the Democratic Party prospers on the votes of the very people it has spent much of its history oppressing. Democrats falsely claim that the Republican Party is the villain, when in reality, it's the failed policies of the Democratic Party that have kept blacks down. Massive government welfare has decimated the black family. Opposition to school choice has kept them trapped in failing schools. Politically correct policing has left black neighborhoods defenseless against violent crime. So when you think about racial equality and civil rights, which political party should come to mind? I'm Carol Swain, professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University for Prager University. Thanks for watching. To keep our videos free, click here.
Hours. That's how long young people spend every day consuming online content. Video content.
What we're not going to do is try to compare this to Charlie Kirk.
It is so hard to sit here sometimes because I didn't come to Congress to write laws.
Yeah, Crockett, that's kind of your job, but go on. Piss me the off.
The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened.
No, Crockett, what we're not doing is gaslighting American people into thinking that this woman was told to back up and leave, and that's all she was doing, when the reality is they told her to get out of her car. There was an agent in front of the car. She backed up just enough to drive forward and hit the agent before anything happened. That's what we're not going to do. And we're not going to ignore the fact that the government in Minnesota could have done stuff to stop this prior to this happening. They knew it was going to happen. They were waiting for it to happen, and we're not going to ignore that. It's still sad, but we're not going to ignore it. It's their responsibility. It's their fault.
I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was?
Yeah, Crockett, I remember when they called for a prayer in the whole entire house, and you specifically are heard screaming, "Hell nah!"
That's crazy.
Let's wait a minute. The house will be in order.
Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay.
Right.
Your response was to sit there and say that Robinson was MAGA.
Reality is that the average person on the left probably couldn't make a shot from 200 yards because they haven't been playing with assault rifles since they were a little kid. Like, that is just the reality of how people on the left typically work.
Wait. So we got to talk about ghetto Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Ratchet, who was currently getting roasted by black people because she broke down in tears on the congressional floor over the reactions from conservatives and Republicans towards the little white woman that was smoked by an ICE officer because she decided to struck while they were doing their jobs. Okay, and I want to react to this because Jasmine Crockett is gaslighting this country in ways that I didn't think were possible.
You know what they were doing when Charlie Kirk died.
I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was?
I do remember. You guys were happy about it.
Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay.
She's right. They were cheering.
Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is
Bro, they real petty for that, man.
That's right. So the
She
cop
petty.
tells you to stop or get out the vehicle, follow the instructions.
Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child.
Jasmine Crocodile Tears.
Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was?
Oh, I remember very well because that day was a tragic day for many of us. In fact, I remember when I posted on social media, on my Facebook page in particular, how many people no longer respected me because I supported Charlie Kirk. I seen so many people call him a racist, a bigot, all these things. Meanwhile, all he did was just share words, sharing his thoughts and sharing truth, called freedom of speech, but he was hated for because of it. And when he was unalive, for the whole world to see, y'all celebrated. You all was dressed up as him for Halloween, mocking this man's death, still mocking this man's death. You all have no business saying Charlie Kirk's name out of your mouths at all. Because Charlie was innocent. He was innocent. But you all didn't think he was innocent. You all believed that he deserved to be unalive the way how he was.
Simple Soul Sister, Black Power Jasmine Crockett, the one that said we need the Mexicans to pick out cotton cocaine pigment no more. You know, the one that said ain't nobody crying for white tears, seeing white tears up there. Now I like your opinion, Popo, of y'all black figure Jasmine Crockett crying over the liberal right woman. This ain't for no ranking. This ain't for no dog. And I just want to know, since all these nice conservative people that y'all been picking up, calling what y'all got to say now. The soul sister is crying over the white woman.
She was shot in her head and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay.
We targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us.
Amazing.
Give her an award. That was good. That was good. So it took for a lady who got pew something she could have prevented for y'all to cry. Are you serious?
The Democrat Party always do that. They go hard for the
Where was the tears at
for the criminal. They go hard for the criminal.
who lost their lives? Nothing. No, y'all just ignored it the entire time. And this is where we are right now. And you know what's so crazy is that nobody is talking about the fact that a woman who lost her life would still be here had we not had open borders. Don't say that. Don't say that. Had we not discovered that we were being robbed of billions of dollars by not only like illegal people who weren't even American citizens, but government officials, we would not have to worry about ICE being in people's neighborhoods. We would not have to worry about people taking money to cause problems for these agents, being hurt or worse. As you can see, there was nothing. There was crickets. None of y'all said anything, and now you want to cry? As much as this Latino and Black women who lost their lives because of the issue you create. Yeah, okay. Smallest violin in the world.
Hey, I love to see it, right? I love to see it. Jasmine Crocodile Tears getting roasted for her performance in Congress. Boo-hoo, whined and cried over a liberal white woman, right? Miss Soul Sister, right? Miss Soul Sister, Black Power, Jasmine Crockett, cried over a liberal white. Have you ever heard Jasmine Crockett cry over a black woman that was murdered, right? A black woman losing her life. Okay, at the hands of criminals, like, for example, Mahogany Jackson, who was literally lynched, right, by a mom, okay? Did she shed tears over that? Did anybody cry about that? No. Did she cry about Laken Riley? No, they didn't even want to say her name, right? Democrats didn't even want to stand for her.
Nope, they did not want to stand.
She was killed by an illegal immigrant, right? No, we didn't hear it. Nothing at all, right? No tears. What about
No tears, didn't stand.
Right? What about her? Any tears for her? Right? Any tears for Arena Zaruska? Right? Any tears for any of these women that tragically lost their lives because of Democrat policies, right? Because let's be real, like that lady just said, she's right. None of this would have happened had it not been for Democrat policy. Let's be real. Had it not been for open borders, it wouldn't have happened. Had it not been for sanctuary cities, it wouldn't have happened. Had it not been for the fraud that was allowed by Democrats, it wouldn't have happened. Had it not been for Democrats gaslighting these individuals, it wouldn't have happened. Everything that happened to that woman was a result of Democrats, right? It was a result of Democrats. But yet, all these other individuals who lost their lives as a result of Democrat policies, for whatever reason, Jasmine Crockett, she ain't got no tears for any of those people. Whether they black, white, Hispanic, Latino, whatever. Does not. She has no tears for them. But this liberal white woman, right? This liberal white woman, okay, loses her life because she decided that she was going to obstruct ICE, right? A decision that she made. She should have been at home, right? Jasmine Crockett, Miss Pro-Black, boo-hoo, whine and cry, right? This is why she is getting roasted. So without further ado, let's roll this clip of this woman.
Roll it.
Roasted up Jasmine Crockett.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jasmine Crocodile Tears Crockett.
A little bit of hurt and humanity. A child.
Again, keep in mind, this is the same woman. After Charlie Kirk died, she tried to blame it on MAGA. She got mad because people voted for a bill in Congress to acknowledge what happened to him and to honor Charlie Kirk, right? So keep in mind, that's how she reacted after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, right? She didn't say, oh, this is a father. He had children, he had a family. For whatever reason, there was no tears, there was no emotions, no feelings when Charlie Kirk got assassinated for the world to see, right? None of that. Now all of a sudden, she got all these emotions. Amazing.
child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad. And so we got to get all these bills because the...
Girl, shut the hell up. Shut up. Girl. You don't give a damn about that middle-aged white woman. You don't give a fuck about her or her kids. Bitch, please. Please. Like, I don't know who you think you're fooling. Sad part is there's some low IQ idiots that are probably crying with her.
Damn.
I'm not buying that bullshit. What about when Charlie Kirk died? Y'all motherfuckers was rejoicing. He deserved it.
Yeah. They was going nuts.
That's what I remember. What about Lake and Riley? Y'all don't cry when American citizens get killed by these illegal motherfuckers. Veterans sleeping on the street while you prioritize illegals. You don't give a fuck about that white woman. And she caused her death on herself. I don't care. I'm sorry. Nobody told her ass to go out there and impede ICE. You're a mom.
What liberals did, let's be real, far leftists did, right?
Right. The leftists, The View, CNN, Tampon Tim, calling them Gestapo. It's all bullshit. They bogus. That's insurrection.
Obstruction is not peaceful protest. So leftists did tell her to do it, right? This woman probably was, unfortunately, brainwashed by the left. Okay, and that's why it happened.
What the fuck are you doing on a Wednesday afternoon obstructing law enforcement? Where the fuck were your kids? Like, why weren't you at home with your children? I am a mother. I'm a mother first. You won't ever catch me.
Like and subscribe.
Irresponsible shit like that. And Jasmine Crockett, girl, shut your bitch ass up. Nobody's buying it. And if you are buying it, I have a beach house in Las Vegas that I can sell you right now. We're done with this shit, girl. You are a theater kid. Nobody's buying that bullshit. Sorry. I'm not. How long before we don't have to see this bitch anymore? I'm tired of her. Like, didn't they draw you out of your district? You hurry up and get the fuck. You definitely not making it to the Senate either, so girl, bye. Like, this lady is. This is what happens when you don't have no man and you don't have any children or anything to live for. You turn into this.
Facts, right? This is what happens when you don't got a man and you're bored, right? You don't have anything else in life going on, right? This is what you do, okay? So yeah, I mean, nobody's buying this, right? Nobody's buying it. These people can cry all they want, but you know, I remember what happened after Charlie Kirk got assassinated. I remember very well, okay, how these people reacted. I'm not stooping as low as they stooped, right? I'm not celebrating. I'm not happy. I'm not, doing fine. But I will say, I believe that ICE officer acted in self-defense, and I believe what he did was justified. Okay? It's not an assassination. It was self-defense. It was self-defense. Okay? That's what I believe. And no amount of liberal tears are going to change my opinion. It's change how I feel about this. So, you know what you guys say? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Of the situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country. You don't get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look at this individual and what her motivations were. We know that there was, throughout that morning, she had harassed and and impeded law enforcement operations, that raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
Actions of ICE, they are unconstitutional, unlawful, they are cruel, they are rogue, they are racist.
Oh, Chrome Dome.
Terrorizing communities. They are sowing chaos and terrorizing communities.
Meanwhile,
Why are y'all interfering? Go home.
please. So, you got to talk about what liberal and Democrat Party teamers, right? As you guys can see on the screen, it got more liberals boo, wide in the crowd, right? I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, this is my daily entertainment. I'm really not, man. I mean, like, I never get tired of watching people cry. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, you got to talk about how ICE and the Trump administration, they're not backing down to the Democrats and their insane demands, right? They really do believe that they can pressure the administration into stopping the ICE operation, stopping the mass deportations, okay? But it's not going to happen, no matter how many lies that they tell, right? We're not going to stop. And best believe they're coming up with some crazy lies in order to pressure the administration into stopping the enforcement of federal immigration law.
I want you to respond to what she said about you telling ICE to get the F out. She says you and the leaders of Minneapolis have been demonizing ICE officers, and it is true that you've been critical of Secretary Noem for her quick characterization of the incident, but you also said on Wednesday, quote, this was a federal agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. Does your rhetoric need to change?
Yeah. I said this was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying, because that was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying. It's exactly what happened. I mean,
what about why was she there? Why was she at home with her kids? Y'all keep on saying why is the agent got to do his job? How come she should do her job as a parent and stay at home with her kids and stop following ICE agents around? The ICE agent doing his job. How is it he's the issue for doing his job? He's at work. She should be at home. He at work. She should be at home. That's yeah. There you go.
Of course, have this investigation. It should be a neutral, unbiased investigation where you get the facts. You know, and by the way, I shouldn't be the one conducting the investigation, nor should Christy Noem. But you should have an entity that is able to do it with some common sense and operating in reality.
Start with you. What should Democrats in Congress be doing now in response
Am I making some sense? The ICE agents are at work. These protesters, what you want to call them, they're not at work. Well, that's y'all at work. They're getting paid. That's what it is. They paid protesters. I guess they both at work. But the ICE agents getting way more power. They're doing their job. Come on, people.
From my experience and what happened in Minneapolis, it's very clear that ICE is completely out of control. It's a rogue, lawless agency that has detained American citizens.
Like and subscribe.
They are putting people in the worst possible conditions at the detention centers, and now the worst has happened in that they murdered an American citizen, Renee Good. Congress immediately needs to rein in ICE. I think Republicans need to come on board and recognize that when they have just given DHS $170 billion in the One Big Beautiful Bill,
The actions of DHS need to be held accountable. The vast majority of Americans don't support ICE right now. New polling shows that Americans think that ICE is being too forward, that they've gone too far, and they need to be reined in. And the bare minimum of that is, agents should be unmasked. They need to have proper training. One of the main issues is that thousands of people are being hired very quickly. They're not trained properly.
I guess the ICE agents should get COVID so they can still keep wearing their masks.
At a police department, you know that police officers are getting proper training to use non-lethal force.
I guess ICE agents need to have COVID to keep their masks on.
We need more accountability. We need an immediate investigation on this situation. But honestly, ICE is not making our communities any safer.
So a couple things I'd love to hear your response. One is she called it a murder, and two, the congresswoman also is suggesting that ICE's funds should be frozen or something in terms of the government funding.
I believe that money should be stripped entirely.
Stripped entirely. So the government funding goes.
We're going to clearly disagree on a lot of things. I don't think the rhetoric like this is useful. I think that the mayor's rhetoric is despicable. He's out there saying F ICE. I support law enforcement. F ICE. Get out of our cities. It makes people less safe. I'm going to cooperate with certain people, but not other people. This is the law in the United States. If you don't like it, pass it. Give your colleagues. Change the law. Change the law. If you don't like it, 300%. No, wait. Look, it's my turn to talk. He didn't murder anybody. It's my turn to talk. Wait. It's my turn to talk. I was respectful to you. Let me talk. When that gentleman, when she showed up that morning, she weaponized that vehicle. Jake, she could have been standing there with a Glock on her hip. Okay. Police wouldn't have fired her. They said, "Please get out of the car." She didn't get out of the vehicle. When she revved that vehicle engine, when she revved the engine and proceeded forward, she weaponized it. That officer did not have the hindsight of hours of watching videotape. He had a microsecond to make a decision whether to fire her or not to fire her. Do you think he wanted to end somebody's life that day? No. She made a conscious decision to go there, break the law, protest. And when she did that, she weaponized the car, just like raising a Glock to his head. He had a split-second decision to make. Shoot or not to shoot. So I say that. Because she tried to run him over. Let's bring it in.
Yeah, so you see that you heard that. Okay, Democrats are claiming that everybody's lying about this except them. Right? The same people who are claiming that this woman was just an innocent wife. An innocent wife and a mother. She wasn't doing anything but a three-point turn. Right? DHS literally posted a 3-minute video showing the woman at this spot, obviously not doing a three-point turn, right? Just straight up blocking ICE agents. Okay, we're talking about 3 minutes. Okay, I'm not sure in what world does it take 3 minutes to do a three-point turn, right? Seriously. But again, according to Jacob Frey, she was just doing a three-point turn. She was trying to get out of there, and ICE they just went up and assassinated her, right? This is what they claim. Except again, we have footage of the woman being in the road, blocking the street for 3 minutes straight, right? Again, it's almost as if the facts don't matter to these people, right? Facts don't matter. They don't. The only thing that matters to these people is the narrative. These are the same people running around claiming that the woman's vehicle didn't hit the ICE agent, right? The ICE agent wasn't really hit, even though he was hit, okay? They're the ones that are making up the lies and then pointing the fingers at everybody else and saying they're lying. When Democrats are the ones that are lying. The amount of gaslighting from this situation, despite having video evidence, again, is sad. It really is. It is sad that we live in a world that, as a country, based off your political ideology, that determines your reality, right? And what you see, right? When liberals are seeing something completely different than everybody else, okay? Because same people, the people who have two eyes that function, actually can see objective reality, which that this woman was in fact blocking ICE. She was not just a peaceful protester. She was obstructing ICE. She was out there being an agent of chaos. And on top of that, she did in fact hit the ICE agent as she was trying to flee, right? I don't know if she was trying to run over ICE agent or what, but it doesn't matter, right? It's irrelevant to the legal question, which is whether or not the officer had a reasonable belief of seriously being injured or killed, right? In which, anybody who has a 2-ton vehicle coming at them, right, accelerating at them, has a reasonable belief that, hey, this is a deadly weapon, right? But according to Democrats, no. The ICE agent is supposed to get run over, right, or seriously hurt before he can defend himself. So, The reality is that regardless of the lies, the Trump administration is not backing down, right? They're not backing down. In fact, they're ramping up, right? They're sending more ICE stations to Minneapolis, Minnesota, despite all of the political team.
Our top story tonight, Homeland Security Secretary Christine Noem says hundreds more ICE agents will be coming to Minnesota following the shooting death of Renee Good by an ICE officer.
Secretary Noem said these agents will be on the ground as soon as today.
We're sending more officers today and tomorrow. They'll arrive. There'll be hundreds more in order to allow our ICE and our Border Patrol individuals that are working in Minneapolis to do so safely. We're going to continue to, if they conduct violent activities against law enforcement, if they impede our operations, that's a crime, and we will hold them accountable to those consequences.
It's not clear exactly how many officers will be coming to the Twin Cities or how many are already here in Minnesota. Earlier this month, the DHS reported they sent 1,500 ICE officers and 600 Homeland Security investigators into the state with the reported aim of tackling fraud. We'll keep you updated as this story progresses.
Yeah, I just love how the Trump administration is just refusing to back down, right? If they're not backing down, they're actually doubling down, tripling down and say, you know what? We're still going to do our job and we're going to kick some ass while we're doing it, right? If you try to obstruct, was exactly what happened in this situation that was covered by News Nation, which you can see, right? Democrats, liberals in tears, boo, whine, and cry because ICE is enforcing the law. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Breaking news right now out of Minneapolis. Look at this. Protesters clashing with authorities, allegedly interfering with active ICE operations in the city happening right now. The Associated Press is reporting demonstrators are on the streets blocking ICE officers there at the scene. Well, News Nation's Mills.
Imagine being one of these people that live in these neighborhoods where these agents of chaos are making all this noise, and you actually do support ICE, right? You support getting criminals, thugs, rapists out of your neighborhood, and you got these lunatics who are in your neighborhood causing all this noise, right? Imagine living in one of these houses and being a supporter of ICE, right? Or put it this way, not even wanting to be involved at all, right? Just want to live your life. These people are causing all types of noise, right? And disruptions in your neighborhood because, again, they don't want ICE to enforce the law. Crazy stuff.
Hayes is live for us in Minneapolis. They're on the ground. Mills, tell us what you are seeing right now.
And well, we are about 15 minutes away from where all of that action is taking place. And we know that there are dozens of officers and protesters on the ground. We have seen some clashes between those two groups, and officers have deployed some sort of chemical or spray. We're not sure whether or not that's tear gas or pepper spray balls. Now, I did speak with a source with the Minneapolis Police Department who tells me that the Homeland Security Investigations team was executing a search warrant at that home. And through that video that we're getting from the Associated Press, you can see those officers pulling out an individual from that home and taking them into custody, and people in that home as well.
Okay, Joe.
Family or friends reacting, of course, very upset. You could have heard that woman saying no, 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 and so it is an ongoing scene right now, and we are going to be sending a team over there to check out exactly what is happening. This, of course, is breaking right now. We know that this is supposed to be the largest immigration enforcement operation in the country. That's according to DHS, and so it's unclear whether or not this person may be someone that they're targeting, that they are trying to deport, or whether or not this has to do with those fraud investigations that they're looking into, Anna. So again, a very situation that is changing minute by minute.
And just a very emotional situation on all sides right now. And this, of course, is on the heels of the shooting that involved the ICE agent who shot and killed Renee Good, the 37-year-old who allegedly was in her car trying to block him.
How was she allegedly? She literally was in the car
learning from being there on the ground, Mills.
for over 3 minutes. That's crazy.
I mean, that's what we got to get to the bottom of. It's crazy how these people on cue, right? On cue, they're ready to protest, right? It's amazing how every single time stuff like this happens, these people are ready to protest.
Right, a signs ready. They got their lunch ready.
This is made painful, right? It's almost as if this is not completely organic.
Well, there's a lot of different groups
What up, Critical Right? It's not allegedly. It's 3-minute video of her in the car blocking ICE before ICE even came to the car. And then the wife got out the car and started filming the ICE agent as he was filming them.
There is the federal building not too far from here as well, where a lot of those ICE officers leave that building, and there are groups that stand out right there on the side as well that will write down the license plates and tell people in those group chats to look out for these people, and that's where we'll see those people follow officers. And we actually even saw some people following a caravan of Border Patrol agents here just about 2 hours ago. We saw at least 3 other people in cars that were following them, honking their horns, trying to disrupt those operations, and also having their phones out, recording, someone even yelling out to us, "That's ICE, that's ICE," and ended up actually being Border Patrol. We saw them in their the camouflage uniforms that, of course, is Border Patrol. And so they are using their phones and social media. A lot of the different some of them are nonprofits, some of them are just groups that have been created online through Instagram, and that's where they'll be updating a lot of the people that follow along. We also know that there is some different meetings that are happening later today, actually here in Minneapolis, for some of those groups that are going to be talking about how to respond when ICE is in your community. And we know that a lot of the people here, the protesters, use those whistles to alert whenever there are ICE officers. And we have seen people, those protesters, also know where some of the agents and officers are staying by following their cars and keeping track of those license plates as well. And we have seen those noise demonstrations outside of hotels as well. So it's definitely a move by these protesters to try to disrupt these enforcement operations and using their cars as well to block officers, which of course is what we heard from DHS that Renee Good was trying to do earlier this week when she was unfortunately killed by an ICE officer, and that has sparked a lot of anger from these protesters as well, Anna.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. So you have the news basically reporting that, that's exactly what they're doing. They're obstructing, right? They're literally putting their vehicles in the middle of the road so that ICE agents can't pass. And they're honking their horns, making a whole bunch of noise in order to disrupt their operation. But yeah, if you listen to a Democrat, she was just doing a 3-point turn. She wasn't being a domestic terrorist. She was just there. She was just finished dropping off her kid at school, right? And it's just funny to me, man. These people don't live reality, right? And ultimately, it really is about power and control. They will lie because they know that the truth, right, is a threat to what they're trying to accomplish. So yeah, ICE in Minneapolis, the operation continues, netting 10 killers, violent child rapists, but lefty politicians want ICE out. Yeah, so lefties, right, want these individuals, okay, to be in their neighborhoods, right? This is what they want. They want these people terrorizing your neighborhood, and then they tell you you're a bad person, you're a racist. You say, hey, you know what? I don't want these individuals in my neighborhood, right? Let's read this. The Trump administration has arrested hundreds of criminal illegal aliens since kicking off the largest immigration enforcement operation ever deployed in Minneapolis, including monsters convicted of heinous crimes like murder, sodomy, and raping children. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials announced the latest roundup of what it called, quote, the worst criminal offenders in the world, while blasting local officials for upholding policies that have made the Twin Cities a magnet for vicious predators. Yeah, and that's the crazy part about it that people refuse to acknowledge, which is that all of this is happening because Democrats refuse to cooperate. If Democrats cooperate, none of this stuff will be happening. And that's why I really do believe that the anger at ICE is being misdirected. They really should be angry at Democrats, because if Democrats actually cooperated, if they got rid of the sanctuary city policies, you wouldn't see any of this stuff. You wouldn't see it. Quote, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are encouraging this behavior with their rhetoric of lawlessness, while their sanctuary policies continue to ensure that the worst of the worst criminal alien offenders flock to their state in a vain attempt to escape justice, ICE wrote in a statement. The agency, which sent over 2,000 officers to Minneapolis in the last week alone, also hit out at violent rioters and agitators for trying to protect such criminals not interfering in obstructing ICE operations. Yeah, so they have a whole list of illegals committing heinous crimes so heinous that, quite honestly, I don't even want to read it right out loud. But yeah, I mean, this type of stuff is being defended by Democrats, right? They're defending this behavior from illegals. They're trying to protect these people. And then they want to tell you that they're the good guys, right? They're the ones that are trying to keep people safe. And no, it's actually ICE. ICE, they're the ones that are dangerous. They're the ones that are terrorizing the American people, not these guys, right? Not these criminals. These people are traitors at this point, right? They're traitors to their country, right? They will put illegals, people who are not even American citizens, over their own people, right? It really is despicable stuff at this point. But I will say that I'm happy that the administration is not backing down. We should not back down. In fact, they're doubling and tripling down. And that is going to show them that no amount of boo-boo wine crime is going to change what ICE is doing. It's just not going to change it. We're going to carry out the largest mass deportation operation in American history, and it's going to happen, right? It's nothing that these people can do about it. It's nothing that Democrats can do about it. And this is why it's important that we vote, right? People got to realize that this stuff is radicalizing these lunatics. They're going to vote, and we have to vote. We have to just
Gotta vote.
About voting to continue
Vote for
and to continue to mass
vote for common sense.
When it comes to protecting the illegal immigrants, right? We have to be just as passionate because they're going to vote, and we need to make sure that we vote to counter them. Okay, that's what people got to understand. Yes, it's entertaining in the moment to watch these people cry, but these tears do translate to votes, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, that we got to get out there doing the midterms. We got to get out there in 2028 because if Democrats take back power and control, they're going to try to abolish ICE. They're going to try to abolish ICE. They're going to open back up the border. Okay, they're going to put us in a situation far worse than what we were under Joe Biden, right? If you thought it was bad under Joe Biden, if Democrats take back power and control, they are opening up the floodgates. There will not be any law and order in this country if Democrats take back power. So, you know what you guys say? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And support me, share. If you like a certain perspective, peace.
Her car. You can see she's blocking traffic and screaming at the officer moments before she drove into him and then crashed. It is exactly as what we've been saying. She was a paid agitator that tried to take out a member of law enforcement. The agent acted purely in self-defense, especially considering the same officer was involved in a very similar situation 6 months ago while trying to apprehend a illegal alien with a rap sheet. So let's take a look at this. This was just released, guys. So I'm going to play it for you.
Yeah, Fisher, you're right. I don't get it either, Fisher.
That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
So very clearly from that, unless you can hear, you can see that she hit him with her car, which is what.
And she sees him. I right here with the camera. She see the officer.
Just so you know, this happened on 33rd Street in Minneapolis, and then the officer needed 33 stitches. There's a lot of distractions right now, but there is more about this woman that you need to know about.
And the truth comes out. So you know Renee Good, that lady in Minneapolis who the officer neutralized when she tried to run him over? The New York Post is reporting an exclusive that details how she wasn't just an innocent bystander like the left would like you to believe. Shocker! She was a full-on anti-ICE warrior in a group called ICE Watch. That's a group who is trained to document and resist immigration enforcement. Now we understand why her wife was standing outside the vehicle recording everything. We're talking whistles, horns, blocking streets, and yes, some have even rammed agents with cars. How did a mother of three get involved with such a group, you say? Well, through her 6-year-old's charter school. This place has been all about social justice since the 70s, teaching kids activism. They would even have kids fantasize about Trump's heart growing 3 times the size. After she and her wife fled to Canada after the horrible election of 2024, they came back and moved to Minneapolis, a sanctuary city.
Wow.
Where she joined these trained resistors harassing ICE all day. Another mother at this charter school shared all of this information with the New York Post, saying she was a warrior and she left this world doing what was right.
Damn.
Okay. Now let me.
Y'all get all that?
But yeah, so that was her, and I'm going back to this really quickly because I want to show you the person, the one that was going off on the police right there and filming. That is the wife. Okay, so they are actually paid agitators. They go from place to place, and this is part of what they do. Is we know all of these protesters are paid. I've shown that before. It's never organic. Like I mean, never organic. Millions and millions of dollars have been spent on paying these people to cause a scene, to kind of show activism and the resistance, right? They're paid opposition. But I have more.
Hey, just a little tidbit about the left's new hero. Yeah, she only has custody of one of her kids. And the reason she only has custody of one is that her domestic partner, a woman, yeah, she likes to beat the shit out of kids and put cigarettes out on their arm. And she chose that woman over her kids. Yeah, the court was basically like, hold on, if you're going to stay with her, you don't get to keep the kids. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So when people were asking why was this mother not at home taking care of her children, it's because her children were taken away from her. Because her partner likes to beat the shit out of them and use their fucking arms as ashtrays. It's amazing to me that every hero of the left turns out to be an awful human being. Like, that's not surprising, but it's the reality. Because anybody that would believe in the ideology that the left believes, anybody that would take action and try to run over a federal agent, yeah, I could assume that they were an idiotic piece of shit. But I have to say that the level of choosing your partner over your children, of staying with someone who likes to beat the shit out of your kids, that's a new level.
And I want to say, this is unsubstantiated. Like, I tried to find any documentation that shows this. This is going all over on social media. So, again, this is allegedly, I don't know if it's for sure, but a lot of people are saying this. They were talking about it, that is the reason she lost custody of her kids. She's been married 3 times. The third, her last ex-husband, he actually died, and it seems to be under strange circumstances. People aren't sure. There's a lot of mystery behind why he died, but she has a 6-year-old, right? And so that 6-year-old, when she married this woman, well, that's who they have custody of. But allegedly, she doesn't have the 2 oldest. They went to the father, which is rare. So they went to the oldest because it is said that she's abusive. And then with this other child, well, they ended up staying with them because that father died. And so by default, they got to keep the 6-year-old. But again, I'm not sure. Either way you look at this, she should not have been out there, should not have had her car. This was something that she wasn't just an innocent bystander. They were paid agitators. This is what they do. They go out there and try to do this to law enforcement, make the news, make a lot of fuss, and try to create a hero, which you see now the left is taking up banners and arms for her to be a hero when essentially their entire goal is to obstruct law enforcement. And if you don't know, yes, ICE is law enforcement. And if you put your behind out there, this is something that can happen. And especially if you try to ram them or hit them with your car. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't nervous. She wasn't innocent bystander. No, this is something that she does consistently. This is a group that they're part of. Even the school that her 6-year-old attends, this is what they were about.
Was defending himself. What the hell is wrong with y'all? What was it y'all watching? Was our ass watching the same video? And why was she blocking off the street? Y'all getting y'all ass on this internet talking about she was a mother of 3. She knew she was a mother of 3 before she pulled the shit she pulled. Why was she blocking off the street? Why did she try to pull off when the agent was holding on to her car? She tried to run them over. What is going on? We all seen the same video. Stop this shit. And the same ones on this internet screaming for the federal agent, the ICE agent, to get locked up because he defended himself. Y'all ass was just on this internet and still is on this internet making fun of Charlie Kirk because of what happened to him, because your ass got butt hurt because he told y'all ass the truth. Y'all still spitting on that man's grave, talking about he was racist because he was honest. He was honest with everybody, not just the black community. But again, when people tell y'all ass shit y'all don't want to hear, y'all want to assassinate their character, y'all want to destroy their legacies. Y'all talking about, she was a mother of three. Again, she knew she was a mother of three before she decided to go out there and like, hey, let me go over here and run some motherfuckers over. What is wrong with y'all? What is wrong with y'all? Stop this victim shit. Even if it wasn't a federal agent, what do you think gonna happen if you try to run over somebody with a firearm? Do you think that's smart? She knew exactly what she was doing. And all the people out there complaining, why the hell y'all ain't trying to intervene and tell her ass to get out the intersection? Why it take for the ICE agents to pull up and do all that? Y'all like getting out there causing the disturbance, and then as soon as some shit hit the fan, then y'all ass want to start the waterworks. But always remember,
he's cooking.
Performing shit. All this weird ass marching and shit. Y'all are not the party of peace. We seen y'all real side before the incident with Charlie Kirk.
He cooking.
But y'all really showed y'all ass around that time. Again, say them goddamn tears. Respect law enforcement. Respect authority. What y'all think gonna happen? Come on now, I'm not even a federal agent. I'm telling you, if you try to run me over and I got that hot shit on me, trust me, I ain't gonna end with it.
So I believe a lot of this, you saw that she wasn't just sitting there. They were purposely filming. They wanted something to happen, guys. You see this is why you have the cell phone footage, why the wife is right there. They do this for a living. I just want to make that clear, okay? And clearly, she rammed into the officer. They told her, gave her a legal, not a legal suggestion, but they told her what she needed to do. They have the legal authority. She decided to just hit them and try to peel out of there.
He said, get out the car.
I'm not sure what she's done, but she was not afraid. This is something that they do commonly. Now, so a new release video shows officers acted in self-defense. Minneapolis police starting to walk back the tone. So let's take a look. It's just music on this, so I'm not going to play the sound, but you can see what's going on. It's clear as day. She hits him. We heard her hit him. Now we have two angles of her hitting the officer, when we can even hear her hitting the officer, and they're going to act accordingly. This is not, again, some innocent bystander. But once again, what are they using this to do? To cause more riots, more protests, to drum up all this support. And it's under false pretenses, but this is what they do. They want to divide and conquer and also keep us distracted. This is one of the main goals that they have. And this is why all of these protesters that are out there, they are paid agents. They are paid actors to do these things. So while they're out there doing all of this protesting and trying to drum up new support, in order to go against ICE officers, to go against law enforcement, to create that narrative, to create that divide, that guys, we're in those times. I told you we're in the last days. We're going to see more chaos. We're going to see more disruption. But it says, leftist woman says she feels wrong for paying her respects to Renee Good because she's a white woman who's privileged. It's so deranged. It's such confusion. It's such confusion. Like I said, their ideologies do not match up. They will be out there protesting to try to protect Muslim or Islamic terrorists taking over the country and protect their rights, all while these people promote Sharia law, genital mutilation of girls, marrying children in Somalia. Even here we are seeing those things, and yet they claim to stand up for women's rights and all. We see these contradictions. So they're out there protesting for this woman, but yet, we really feel bad about it because she's white, so she's privileged.
So I can just walk there and kind of just stay aside because
I got up. I was like, I don't know if it's the right thing to do. It feels kind of wrong being here in some way. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know, like, where that stems from. Like, I don't. I mean, part of it is being like a white woman that I'm privileged and I have a lot of privilege.
Damn.
So I feel like white tears are not always something that's helpful or necessary. When Black and brown people have been experiencing this for a long time. This isn't new for them, and so I don't know if that makes any sense in that way.
How did you decide that you should be here, or are you still figuring that out?
Well, I work like 2 miles from here, so driving by, just I don't, it's like I'm here. I'm 2 miles. I can stop. So I mean, I'm just walking around, kind of just stay aside because are we living in reality? This is the most deranged. Like, they're confused within in themselves. It's the same people who are out there supporting Maduro, who basically tortured brown people in Venezuela, but they are actually wanting him to be free, and not only free, but they were wanting him to actually become president of the United States. They agree with what he's doing, even though he has tortured, starved, destroyed Venezuela and the people there. But we know why they don't care, because that is a Christian country. The majority of the people in Venezuela are Christian or Catholic. And so they don't really care. They actually want this dictator to come back out and to go either be back in his country to torture his people more, or to be in the U.S. and to run the United States. None of it makes sense. But while that's going on, there's even more that doesn't make sense. This is different. This is a different video, but I'll just show you briefly. It says Commander Bavino and his team are now making arrests outside the Somali Quality Learning Center in Minneapolis.
You silly Joe. Good one.
I don't know.
$100 on that.
So they're out there defending these Somalis. Well, we have found billions of dollars of fraud, and this isn't just taking from the government. No, they are taking from children with autism, taking from families in need, taking from everyone, and sending money more than the GDP of Somalia within a year over back to Somalia and to fund Islamic Muslim terrorists. These same Somalis who are marrying children, who are mutilating the genitals of girls there, where women are oppressed. But these same people are now trying to, like, what? Do you understand how insane that is? It goes against this ideology that they supposedly have. Like, we have found billions of dollars to go all the way up, okay, in Minneapolis to Tim Walz, to Ilhan Omar, and they are funding terrorists who marry child brides as young as 6 years old. But yet, ICE is the problem. Okay, all right. So I already showed you guys that. There's another video I wanted to show you. Hold on. Okay, I had to pull that up, but it says FAFO in Minneapolis. A woman hit a border patrol vehicle with agents inside
while another spit on it, and both of them felt the wrath of Border Patrol's tactical unit. Let me just say this. With this woman dying, with this woman doing the same thing, people are still out here doing this, because what did I say? They've got to earn their check. They are out here paid. They don't care about loss of life. They don't care about, real activism. They are just out here just to create noise, create chaos. And I think a lot of them want to be looked at as some martyr or some hero, because they're just deranged. Honestly, it's demonic. I really believe a lot of these people are demonically possessed.
Step back.
Okay, so this is another thing. It says an autonomous zone has been declared by leftists in Minneapolis and is being referred to as a no-go zone for police. This zone spans for several blocks and residents are barred from driving to their homes. So they are blocking people from their homes. The federal government must end this. So I'll just let you guys see a little bit of it. Okay, so that's a little bit longer. I'm gonna have to show it in another video, but I just want you to see the anarchy that's out there. But all of this is fake. I'm not talking about the ice ages, but like the protesters. This is all fake. This is not protests. These are paid agitators to do this. This is anarchy. They want unrest. They want civil unrest. They want to make the news. They want the mainstream media to pick it up and for it to create a movement. They want the same riots that happened with George Floyd and all of that. So they try to create martyrs and heroes out of people who are doing this on purpose. These are not innocent bystanders who happen to get caught up in this. And now they're terrorizing neighborhoods and blocking people from being able to get into their homes. But anyway, guys, I have a lot more updates to give you. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and yeah, I will see you very shortly.
Safety measures. For a replacement scooter.
Just talked about it this weekend. Like, should I think about getting your scooter was stolen? And
I was
so
not.
sad. What a new week, Robbie. I'm sorry. I gotta tell the people your scooter was stolen. And
I was
so
not gonna
sad
make
about
a big
it.
deal about it, but I did just tell you that.
I know. I don't want that to happen to you. This is the second time, and I was about to think about getting a scooter. Colin and I actually just talked about it this weekend. Like, should I get a scooter? It will help me.
Well, I still recommend it, but when I get my replacement scooter, we will now pursue more stronger safety measures. I will have a tracker put on it, and I'm going to look into like some kind of an electrical device that shocks it.
Okay.
Touch it without my permission. Never again.
Also, I want to point out that we're matching today. Legitimately. We are.
This will be the last video for today. I'll be back after this one soon. Thank you guys for stopping by. Appreciate it. Deontay.
Plus, President Trump is reportedly weighing military action in Iran, but he says the nation now wants to negotiate. Death tolls in the protests against the regime also rising, now at least 544 people.
And former late show star David Letterman went off on CBS News and its leadership. But first, Robbie, what's on your radar?
Well, by now, everyone has had an opportunity to review the footage of the shooting death of Renee Good, who was killed by an ICE officer while driving toward him in her car in Minneapolis, Minnesota last week. And we've seen footage from different angles and at different speeds. We've seen it from different perspectives. Finally, we've been able to see and hear what happened immediately before and after the shooting. New footage emerged on Friday afternoon, and we've not had the opportunity to address it on Rising yet, so let's watch and react.
No problem, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, Joe.
That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Get out the car. Get out the car. And she drives off. What the hell?
Now, this new footage does clear up some popular misconceptions. It does not appear, for instance, that Good received conflicting instructions from the officers. What it looks and sounds like is that she was following her partner's instructions to flee the scene. That line, "Drive, baby, drive," which was spoken by her wife, very telling. Now, the new footage does not necessarily answer, however, the only relevant question, which is whether the officer who shot and killed Good, Jonathan Ross, had a reasonable fear for his life. That's the standard. So many in the media are getting this wrong in stating that he shouldn't have fired on Good for trying to flee the scene, which is true. Fleeing the scene on its own is not a satisfactory reason for him to shoot at her. He was entitled to shoot, however, if her vehicle was headed toward him and he thought she was going to mow him down, even if she wasn't planning to do that, and even if getting out of the way was, in hindsight, a better option. So many commentators are becoming emotional about this. It doesn't matter that she said she wasn't mad at him and that he called her a bad name after shooting at her. It doesn't matter whether she was blocking traffic or whether the police were right to detain her in the first place. And it doesn't matter whether Ross was previously dragged by a vehicle, though he was. And in fact, his own political views and hers don't matter at all. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is whether Ross, reasonably fearing for his life, was justified in firing at an oncoming vehicle. Cooler heads, by which I mean experts in the legal system and in law enforcement, they will make that decision by reviewing all the footage. Only a well-trained expert in the use of force can determine, based on what we can see and based on the principles of the presumption of innocence that Officer Ross is afforded, whether he was justified in shooting her. Now, I know everyone on social media, every talking head on cable news, right and left, thinks they're qualified to make that determination. Well, you're not, so calm down. Now, some people hate that issues require nuanced investigation. I know many people on the right want to totally acquit Ross, no questions asked. And I know many people on the left want to bring up charges right now without examining the details. Here was the Bulwark's Tim Miller, casually asserting as fact that Ross murdered Good.
She was like, dude, I'm not mad at you 20 seconds earlier. A 37-year-old lady in a beanie, in a Honda Pilot, with stuffies in the passenger seat. You thought this lady was a crazed murderer? She talked to you. She just talked to you. I will not be gaslighted led by these people. I will not calm down the rhetoric and tone it down and be like, oh, you got to understand the other perspective. Jonathan Ross murdered her. She talked to him calmly. Said, dude, I'm not mad.
Okay, I'm sorry, but all of that, again, is beside the point. People can talk with you calmly and in a friendly manner and then still try to run you over in their car. That could be the case. It could also be the case that it was totally unnecessary for Ross to respond that way, but justifiable in the moment because the car was coming at him and he had to make a split-second decision. Or it could be the case that the car wasn't coming at him, that a closer examination of the video footage will reveal that the shooting was totally unjustified, and if so, he should be prosecuted. Spouting off on social media that this is case closed either way, it's wrongful and it's unhelpful. And it's inflaming the public. And I understand the anger. Like liberals, I recoil at having mass law enforcement agencies everywhere doing papers, please style policing of Americans. And I think the Trump administration should consider that these showy displays of extreme force are undermining the entire agenda, the popular parts of Trump's policies. American citizens shouldn't die or face routine deprivation of their rights, and it's foolish.
American citizens should not be blocking ICE agents. What the fuck? Stay at home.
Efforts to smear her for having been the victim of the shooting, I think that's shameful and it's wrong.
She should be at home.
Yet I cannot co-sign mob justice. I cannot say, I've seen enough, prosecute this man without considering...
That one time has this anchor said that she should have stayed at home. He never at one time said that part.
Either way,
mention that she should have been at home.
video segment on social
She
media.
doesn't live in
Even
Minnesota.
though we have all been fooled by these things numerous times, I'm begging you, just calm down and wait.
So I thought your radar and just perspective from the day that it happened has been really balanced.
Oh, thank you.
And I thought it was fair. I do think that I was let down because it felt like within minutes of me trying to learn the story, just to acquire information from leadership, that the Department of Justice, that the federal investigators, of the president, that Christie Noem, everyone had made up their minds. And I know that there were Democrats that were aggressive in their response. We know cursing from the mayor and all this stuff that was happening.
Yeah.
But I was just so confused about how we had this information without an investigation. And I know that you said a lot of people are on TV pretending to be experts. And so I was trying to rely on, as somebody tried to bring analysis to television, experts that actually chimed in. So even on Friday, when Amber and I were talking, I read a quote in the New York Times by a guy who works for the University of South Carolina. His name's Jeffrey Alpert. And he's actually an expert, like you referred to, on the use of police force, worked in the industry, in the business. And he told them the way you evaluate this is you look at it, you see what's the imminent threat to life. And from his eyes, he sees there is none. She's leaving. And that's one expert. But then you have a variety of other people that have worked closely in this type of a position before, that have been on a variety of, I'm talking about real world experience, saying like, oh, we will be trained in this situation to distance and cover, meaning step back, move away, let the person go on, get them later, arrest afterwards, not shoot right away. So all of us are not federal investigators, all of us are not experts here, but I think the fact that we're now excusing local officials from being part of this investigation, now that the tensions are already inflamed on both sides of no matter where your perspective is, we're creating suspicion that leads to larger chaos, and local officials feel like they are completely unattached from this investigation. And so how can we expect fairness and transparency when it seems that Trump and his administration, the same people doing the investigation, have already made up their mind? And I think that to me is the biggest part bothering everyone, because you're right.
Because your eyes
Exactly what's happening.
see what you see.
Making up your mind in both directions, I would say. Right, they can't shoot her, as I said, just for fleeing the scene. They're not supposed to do that. That makes sense, because if you shoot wildly at someone fleeing, you could hit someone else. You could.
And I looked at you weren't here the next day. 100% correct. You can't shoot the tire.
Yeah,
you can't shoot the leg.
They didn't do any of that. So it just matters if she was coming right at him, and he thought in the moment he couldn't get out of the way in time, and that's what he had to do. And I can't tell from the video footage if that's the case or not. I don't believe anyone really can. So we'll need a sober-minded investigation of experts who look at that very closely and figure out whether his determination that he made to shoot instead of try to get out of the way was justified in the moment. And we can't tell. People are like, oh, he's clearly in front of the vehicle. Oh, he's clearly to the side. Oh, actually can't tell. And we get misled by video all the time. So let's just wait and see what comes of it.
Well, tensions are on the rise in Iran as protests erupt throughout the country. We'll discuss what to expect next.
All right, you guys. We'll catch y'all later. Peace out.